Partners available here today are the stalls and booths are at the back of this hall, and we have organized several networking activities for you to interact with our partners and your peers of the healthcare industry. So it promises to be an interesting event, a full-day event of networking, learning, and various other opportunities. And it gives me immense pleasure to kickstart our 12th edition of the Healthcare 360 Summit with a keynote address from one of our regular attendees. And the topic of this keynote address is very interesting. The patient experience. What is the future imperative? How are we going to be forward-looking about how to cater to the patient experience? Because that's what is ultimately most important. How does the patient perceive the experience of being in the healthcare facility? And I'm pleased to introduce you to Mr. Ratan Jana, who is the Managing Director of Medium Healthcare Consulting Private Limited, to present the keynote address. The reason why I remember this presentation so vividly is because he came off the stage interacting with each one of the audiences, each one of the members of the audience, almost one by one on an individual basis, and we look forward to more of the same this time as well.
So it's good to talk to people, get their views, etc. So the subject is patient experience, and other than patient, because I'm just saying all of this also, unfortunately or otherwise, happen to be patients once in a while. But why do you think it matters? So,
because patients are customers, like everyone, and customers are important in the way.
We get food from patient pocket.
okay.
Patients are already low in their morale when they enter. So we need to give them that experience to feel better.
So, that's a very different story, right? Clinical outcome is a very different story. And I'm just saying, is it surprising that a large number of times, let's say you have a very tricky situation, a life or death kind of a situation, very complex surgery, and the patient and the family goes to a hospital, let's say one of the really reputed hospitals. It's a very complex, life-threatening surgery. And everything goes well. The surgery goes well, and the patient is fine, the family comes back home, and they still think it was a lousy hospital. Does it happen?
Yes.
They still think it was a lousy hospital. It was not a nice hospital. It was not a hospital where I could trust people, etc. So I think it is very important for us to understand that clinical outcome is not the same as patient experience. Patient experience is very different than clinical outcome, but it's a lot more broader. I think I must also mention that there is no way we can negotiate on clinical outcome. You can't deliver substandard clinical outcome and do great on other things and expect the patient to be happy. It won't happen at all. So I think clinical outcome obviously is the core and is a non-negotiable, but patient experience is infinitely more than that. So I think that's the context. What are you? And again, when you see this, what are you reminded of? Experience.
Physical Darbari Maharaja, Darbari culture.
Darbari.
Delayed.
Huh?
Delayed flights.
Delayedly, I'm just saying, despite the Tatas taking it over, and it's been more than a year, it's not imposed by director. I'm Calicut for that matter. I'm just saying why seats are broken and why this is not happening, why that's not happening. So every once in a while, and that's a very unfortunate alarming situation. Now, the point I'm making is when you're talking about an airline, okay, people don't talk about this. Do people talk about aircraft? They don't talk about aircraft. Do they talk about pilot? They don't talk about pilot. So when you're talking about a flight, it is not a means of transportation. That as long as you have the right aircraft and the right pilot, life is fine. No. So when you're talking about airline, life is a lot more than aircraft and the pilot. I think that's what customer experience is all about. Now this has also happened, OYO, and in fact there's this young couple, they reach there, they find that the booking is not there. So in fact they were so pissed off, and for all the right reasons, because it's an emotional occasion, that he actually created a website called How OYO Ruined My Anniversary. So I think what's also important for us to understand that in today's day and age, okay, one incident can do a lot to ruin your reputation for a long, long time to come. I mean, those of us who are in healthcare, you remember that one Rahul Mahajan's incident in Delhi for Apollo Delhi, okay, actually took care of within course Apollo Delhi for almost 2 weeks because it was a headline news for that period. So that's something we must understand. Now, some of you know probably the gentleman, Dr. Uday, and I'll just tell you a brief incident. So, me and my wife, we had gone to Calcutta for a wedding, and somewhere my wife kind of slipped and she injured herself. But more than pain, her ankle is swollen on the left hand side. So obviously we got quite concerned, and we went to a nearby clinic and we got an X-ray orthopedic surgeon, and the guy said that it's a bit of a sprain, there's no fracture, no nothing. So she's got to rest and don't walk around too much, and it's going to take time. So nothing to worry about, and the swelling will come down as the sprain will heal itself. Now we came back to Hyderabad, and she obviously continued to be worried because that was a temporary thing. We went to one of the nearby doctors. And I went to Apollo Hospital, and in fact, one of the senior most orthopedic surgeons in Apollo, and we consulted him. And my wife said that, I have this swelling, and this is the X-ray, and the doctor just saw the X-ray and said that it's okay, it's a sprain, nothing to worry about, and you got to rest and all of that. And she said, would you like me to walk and show you how it hurts? I said, no, it's okay, I've seen the X-ray, no problem. And then she said, you take the pain medication, and he said that there are some videos, you can see on my website, and you need to do some exercises. And like I said, that you take care of yourself. He said that, that while the ankle is the one which is swollen, but I have pain in the thighs and other areas also. So doctor said, that there is something called primary pain and secondary pain and tertiary pain and stuff like that. And if there is one organ in the body which is blah, 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 then all that happens. So after that, we got in the car, and my wife said that you realize why I've been telling you that I don't want to go to any other doctor but Dr. Uday. And she was mad. She was mad the way it happened. And why Dr. Uday? Because I happen to have my TKR done with Dr. Uday, so she is familiar with Dr. Uday. So we went to Dr. Uday, and she sat down and I sat down, and she said, that. So I took out the X-ray and I said, Dr. Uday, my wife, she sprained her ankle, and this is the X-ray. And the first thing Dr. Uday said, leave the X-ray and leave the report. And he turns to my wife and says, what happened? So my wife said, that we went to a marriage and this happened, and I sprained and all of that. And Uday said, do one thing, you just get up and just walk. And she got up, and to walk, he said, take off your footwear. And then he said that, can you unfold your, whatever you're wearing, so I can see. She walked, and he saw her walking, and then he said, where does it hurt? He pressed, and he said, does it hurt here? Does it hurt there? And he said, it is a sprain, it's going to take time. You don't have to do anything about it, but raise your foot, put some ice once in a while. So I'm just saying that all that happened, and he said that for physio, he actually recommended somebody who lives close to our place, etc., etc. Now, when we came back and I was in the car, my wife said that, do you now understand why I said we should go to doctor? Okay. So I'm just asking you that I gave you a rough description of both the doctors. What do you think was different?
Engagement.
Huh? Engagement.
Here the patient was getting treated, there the reports and the ailment was getting treated. The human aspect was missing from both sides.
Absolutely. And I'm asking all of you that go and ask your neighbor, wherever you are, that who is the doctor you admire? And everybody will have an answer. the Dr. Gupta, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Reddy, some answer everybody will have. And you ask the neighbor, why do you think he's such a good doctor or she is such a good doctor? What do you think would typically the answer be? Huh? The way he talks, I'm telling you, you ask anyone, anytime who is a doctor you admire, invariably the answer would be that उससे बात करके आधी बीमारी दूर हो जाती. Yes or no? The way he listens, not talks. I mean, doctor बात तो करता ही नहीं, that's a different story. But the way he listens is half the treatment. So I think communication is a big deal. Now the poor patient says, Doctor Saab, let me tell you what happened. And for all you know, the doctor has already formed his impression about what happened and got the preliminary diagnosis done. So it's as bad as that. That's the reality. The doctors just don't listen. Okay, and you realize the difference. Now, there is a very nice book called How Not to Be a Doctor. John Lohner himself is a very reputed physician, very reputed. And you see what he says? Of all professions, doctors are almost invariably the most proficient at not listening. And he himself is a doctor. So the point we said that if you're talking about patient experience, the most crucial thing is communication, and that's what we are so bad at. Now, as hospitals, honestly, what is it we can do? I'm telling you, we've done work with some of the hospitals. The way people feel about different doctors, I'm telling you, Dave, let's say, is it difficult for us to get some patient feedback? That how people say that this doctor does not listen, he doesn't answer, he doesn't smile, all of that? I'm just saying, even if we just, as it is, whatever they've written, create envelopes for different doctors and just give it to them. That we are merely the messengers of what patients say or what patients think. Now you make up your own mind. So I think that's a very, very crucial thing about communication. Now, just to give you a contrast, Apple started their stores recently in Delhi and Bombay. And look at the first line. That in Bombay, they would have had about 100 plus people in the store. And you know Apple's policy? They said people in the Bombay store could speak in 20 different languages. 20 different languages. If you come to an Apple store and want to buy an iPhone, does it matter to Apple whether you speak in Marathi or whether you speak in Gujarati or Marwadi or Punjabi or something? Does it matter to Apple? Apple says that it's not that you have to speak in English, it doesn't matter. If language is the means of communication, then it's so important for me to respect and to understand that people can speak in different languages. For a long, long time, and it still happens, the whole of East and Northeast used to come to South. Yes or no? Apollo or CMC, Vellore or NH or other places. Now I'm just saying, if in your front office you don't have people, not even one single soul who understands Bengali or Assamese or whatever, do you realize how cruel you are? And here is Apple, which is talking about phone. The second thing Apple said, that when we have people in our Apple store, sales is not at all in their target list. Not at all. So the people in the store the sales is not their KPI at all. Now, ironically in hospital, the counselor's KPI is conversion. So I'm not saying what is good, what is bad. All I'm just saying is what we need to keep in mind. That when we think of the patient, the reality is pretty different. Pretty different. What does Starbucks say? See, Starbucks, I'm just saying, is possibly the only store I can think of where the first thing when you walk into the outlet, you're in front of the counter, the girl asks you what's your name. Yes or no? Not only you know your name, she will know what coffee you want. Yes or no? Starbucks say, we are, because if you're in the people business, then tomorrow instead of coffee, you can serve something else. So I think it is, and I'm saying this is coffee, boss, coffee. Coffee, Apple, iStore. And we're talking about healthcare, where people are so vulnerable. Am I right? When you're not well, you're physically vulnerable, emotionally vulnerable, mentally vulnerable, financially, etc., etc. And how can we forget that we're not in the people business in that sense? So that's a very, very sharp contrast. Now, somebody said, when I spoke about Dr. Uday, somebody mentioned, you mentioned that the guy was more interested in the report. Now, Dr. Osler is considered to be the guru in healthcare, and what does he say? The good physician treats the disease, the great physician treats the patient who has the disease. In fact, there was a poster in a hospital which says, and which shows a patient, and the poster says, I am not my organ. Am I right? If the doctor says, sees an interesting case of appendicitis, then you are dead here. He sees more than an interesting case of appendicitis. Right? So I think we need to look at a person rather than giving for the disease or in the disease. What does it take to create patient experience or customer experience? What is customer experience? What is experience?
Feel good, sir. Feel good, sir.
Feel good.
Smile.
Smile. A little more than that.
The value they
Value. Simple English.
Just an interaction. Just an interaction. That's it.
Interaction. So one thing I must mention, that good service is not experience. Good service is not experience. When you say experience, experience is a different animal, it's a different thing. I'm just saying tomorrow you go to an outlet, restaurant let's say, and you have your dosa and and I'm just saying sambar, you pay and you come back home. And when you are in the lift or when you are walking or when you have your friend or neighbor, will you come to office and suddenly say, let me tell you, I went to the South Indian restaurant, it was a great experience. Will you do that? What will it take you for you to do that? Huh? So somebody also says that satisfaction, we said good quality is not experience. Okay, when you say satisfaction is worthless, it's meaningless. Satisfaction honestly has no value, good service quality has no value. You know what has value? In fact, when you're talking about experience, experience honestly is all about surprises. All about surprises, all about stories. Now, can you think of any service encounter you would have had in any place where you thought it was an experience, you wanted to talk to 10 people? Can you think? Any example? Please.
Actually, and unfortunately, it was not a hospital where I was managing. It was a hospital which was managed by a very good friend of mine. Went to see a doctor there, and this doctor had joined recently, and he was sitting in a different block. So the receptionist told me that he's sitting in 3rd floor. And since I knew the hospital, I went to the old block, and it was some time back actually. So the old lifts were the grill type lifts, and there was security inside. And he took everybody, and I also got him. So the 2nd floor, when the lift reached, there was a couple standing outside. The wife taking the husband in a wheelchair. So they were standing. Security, somebody was going out of the lift. Security got out, went to the lady and asked. And he addressed her as Amma because this was a little elderly lady. So he asked her, Amma, I'm going up actually to drop some people. Are you in some kind of urgency? I'll drop you first, and then can I drop them first and come down? Then they said, no, we are planning to go down, so you come, we'll wait here. And then she said, beta. You understand? So The moment he started calling her Amma, and then she told, "Beta, we will wait." He came in, and again third floor. So third floor, I landed up. I could find that this floor is like an IP floor. It just doesn't look like an OP floor. So this person was watching. I was surprised. The security, when I got out, he had already closed one door, and then he asked, "Sir, where do you want to go?" I said, "I want to meet this Dr. Ravindran. That's his name." So he said, "No, he's sitting in the fourth floor." He again opened the door, pulled me in, and dropped me in the fourth floor. Then I asked him, "How did you understand?" I saw some kind of doubt in your face, so I thought I'll just ask you. So I was really surprised. It was something which I was facing from a security for the first time in my life, in a hospital especially. Hospital securities are like, they feel themselves as the jawans of the border, that we keep. They want to protect all of us. So I had a very good experience. This is not an experience from a doctor. This is an experience from a security who just operates a lift. See, and I've been telling this, most of the service, experience or the patient experience, when you say, this is the experience that every patient is getting from that security who's going to that hospital. I went to the CEO, I told her I want to give him a cash prize from my side, and this is a reward. I really like this way of, Then she said, "No, I will give that in the town hall." Presently, then she gave it and took a photo and sent it to me. So what I'm saying, this is something which can happen from a security point. This is a great experience which I think.
So, if there is a story to tell, if there's no story to tell, there's no experience. So you may go to a beauty parlor, you may go to a bank, you may go to a restaurant, you may go anywhere else. There are times when you want to come back and tell somebody, then let me tell you what happened. So, if it's an experience only if there is a story to tell. Unfortunately, there are not too many stories happening around us because people don't deliver great experiences. And I can talk to you enough about people who do, whether it is Starbucks or we talk about Singapore Airlines or Ritz-Carlton. People who deliver amazing experiences. So that is one. The second thing what Dave said, Cleveland Clinic, in fact, in my mind, is one of the best healthcare organizations in the world who has done miracles with patient experience. They used to be pretty bad. It took them 4 years to go from average to the top of the list. And one of the first things which Cleveland Clinic said was that 40,000 people, and Dr. Toby Cosgrove, who was the chief of cardiothoracic surgery and the CEO, he said that when you deliver patient experience, or if you want to deliver patient experience, the first thing you have to believe is everybody in the hospital is a caregiver. From Dr. Toby Cosgrove to the security, to the F&B, to the janitor, to everyone. Like you said, the security guy. A small thing, since you mentioned security, in fact, typically you walk into a hospital, you think security is there. The word security gives him a very misconception that he's trying to keep something safe, and he can't keep himself safe. Look at somebody else. You and I walk into, I'm telling you, go to any of the Almond House store, you have security guy. Half the time the guy will actually step and open the door. If you are carrying 2 bags in your hand, he'll probably rush and pick up one of them. So I'm just saying a lot depends on how we train people or how we sensitize people. So I think what you just said about stories and security and everybody being a patient caregiver. A very small example, I'll just show you. It's a small video.
Yeah.
Saying congratulations. Big
The baby won't sleep. And 2 of those nurses, Soumya, I don't remember the name, they actually walk the baby around. Literally, they hold her baby like this and they're walking up and down. I was like, feed. They bought the baby as well. They're not even giving me to bought the child. You have to sleep. They bought the child, they walk around with the child. Till 5:30 in the morning, probably when they should have and my baby decided to go to sleep. Till then, they're walking around with that child, which was totally out of this. I didn't expect that even from my own husband. He just probably said he would take turns or something like the work is.
So, opening Any? She said they actually sent him a cake. Sent whom a cake? No.
The person who
No. To the elder brother. The kid you saw in the film. See, I'm just saying that typically in a hospital, children are not allowed as visitors. Can you imagine that if a girl delivers the second child, what is the feeling that goes to the elder one? Can you imagine? That for 3 or 4 days, everybody is celebrating, everybody is so delighted, and he or she can't even see what is happening. And there they are saying that they actually sent him a cake to say congratulations, elder brother. And this lady said that throughout the night, these 2 nurses, throughout the night, kept on, managing the baby. And gave me early in the morning when it was possibly the time to sleep, and she said that there's something probably even my husband won't do. So I think it is just about the surprise thing we spoke about. I'm just saying, and there are 1,000 different ways to matters like crazy. Because I'm just saying, whoever you are, you may be a PhD, a rich person, very educated. How do you judge that whether a hospital is a good hospital or a doctor is a good doctor, orthopedic surgeon, neurosurgeon or whatever? How would you judge? How would you evaluate? How would you?
So basically, how much?
Can you create an Excel sheet? Can you create an Excel sheet and evaluate? No, 7 point, 3.2 point. You and I do that all the time when it comes to taking a bank loan. Yes or no? Or which house to buy, what to do, what not to do. If you talk about clothing, you walk into a Shoppers Stop or you walk into any outlet, is it difficult to make out what is good, what's not so good? It's not. So I'm just saying healthcare is one of the most difficult categories to evaluate, and they call it credence goods. So in fact, it says that things like clothing, if you want to buy furniture, chair, car, food, etc., they are relatively easy for us to evaluate. Am I right? Do you ask? You don't. You really do. Which food or which clothes, ठीक है, बीवी बच्चा बात अलग है, but otherwise no. They are not difficult to evaluate. But when you are talking about on the right hand side, complex surgery, I'm just saying, whoever you are, you may even be a doctor or a surgeon, it is the most difficult thing to evaluate. If it is so difficult to evaluate, then what do you do? What do you do?
If I may relate to this thing, if I may share our personal learning and experience, about a year and a half ago, we realized in our hospital, being a tertiary hospital, the patients wishing at 4.2. So we said benchmark less than 4.5 is not acceptable. So we were just wondering. Then we realized the reviews are normally given only when they are not satisfied, and the not satisfaction happens more to do with the canteen, food is not spicy enough or salty, or the delay in discharges, or the paperwork in the time of admission. By and large, this is what was factoring. So then it was a discovery for us. Actually, the customer is not the patient, it is the attendants who come, that they form the main Google review and the negative or positive feedbacks. Then we realized, doctor, you manage the patient. The attendance management, all the others, everyone touch points should be able to manage. We said no point of time the delay in discharges should happen or this thing. So, and every time when the attendant comes, this is a hospital, so food is essentially for the patient, that kind of thing. So the salt or whatever, the spiciness, all these things are tempered to suit the tertiary care patient. So the counseling, not only the patient, the attendance, this used to happen. So suddenly we realized from negative feedbacks coming, in about 6 months we reached to 4.6 with 7,000 plus Google reviews, almost more than double the review. So the attendance automatically started learning. So what I was us is one, managing the patient, the doctor, treating this thing. Every patient earlier used to go very happy, but the reviews not used to be commensurate.
So again, two things. One is like we said in the very beginning, when you talk about patient, Okay, I would say this is the consumer. Today, if you talk about a school, then the consumer of the school is who? Who is the consumer? The child, right? Who goes to the school. But when you talk about experience of the school, then who all are involved? Absolutely different. Very different. It's your wife who will decide which school to go to. The child goes to the school and the husband will pay. So they may be very different, and you need to take a broader outlook at what matters to you. So I think that absolutely right. But essentially what we are saying is, because it is so difficult to evaluate, almost everyone every time would ask 10 people, friends, neighbors, relatives, that who do you think is a good doctor? And word of mouth, that's why it's so very crucial in healthcare. So very crucial. That's why word of mouth becomes so important in healthcare, because everybody would do that. Ask 10 people. And that is where the customer experience becomes so crucial. Now, when I say why customer experience matters, I'll quickly run through. In fact, if you have your own patient who talk to 100 other people, that's the main cause, because you're not spending anything on that. Now, what we don't realize that it improves employees' morale. Am I right? I'm just saying that if you're in a party, and I'm just saying if you're talking about airline, and if you're talking about Air India, less likely. But if you're talking about, let's say, Taj Hotel, and if you say the service is so good, and then in the party there somebody is working in Taj, what will the girl say? I work for the Taj. So what we don't realize, if the patient feedback or the customer feedback is so very good, your employees' morale itself is so high. We don't realize that. What it does to employee morale. If people crib all the time, and what it does to the front office, it's so demotivating, it's so demoralizing. And when your employee morale is high, it also impacts the attrition. We're talking about it helps you to command a price premium. If everybody speaks so high of you, then whether you increase the price or not, but there is an opportunity for you to increase the price. Tomorrow, if you increase the price by 2% or 3%, would it impact your volume? Less likely. The last thing I think we forget, that if you build a hospital, which is great technology, great equipment, great doctors, is it difficult for somebody else to copy that? Is it difficult? It's not. If you got 64 slides, I'll have 128. If you got 128, I'll have 256. If you got this doctor, what will it take me to get the doctor? Maybe a few lakhs more, unless he or she is a promoter. So I'm just saying, it is so easy to copy technology, doctors, look and feel, ambience, everything else. Now, can you copy patient experience? Can you copy? Tomorrow you want to start a coffee outlet, can you take the 30 and in the evening say, "Kal se apne ko bhi yahi karne ka hai"? Can you say that? You can't. I'm just saying, if you've done a great job of patient experience, trust me, it is the most difficult thing to copy. And to that extent, it creates such a great competitive advantage, sustainable. It's very difficult for somebody else to copy. Even if they take 10 of your people, is it easy to copy? It's not. You can't take 5 people from Starbucks and say, "Ho jayega." Nahi hoga. You can make a marginal difference, but you can't replicate Starbucks in that sense. So I'm just saying, this is why I say patient experience is so important, because of marketing, because of employee morale, price premium, and most importantly, it becomes a regulated one. Can we measure it? How many of us know NPS? I think all of us know NPS, so I'm not going to talk about NPS. So we can obviously measure it. Okay, this whole NPS thing we talk about. Net Promoter Score. But I'm just saying, my view is, even the hospitals who measure NPS, I think they don't do a good job. And one reason is there is an invisible bias. So I get this from Deloitte or somebody else, or Dotti or Indigo. Now, do you see a bias in this? Do you see a bias? So the moment you say 0 to 6 is no, you actually are in a way nudging people towards the right. Are you with me? So there is a very invisible bias in the answer you want. So when you're talking about NPS, like you said 4.5, Google review, etc., I think it's very important for us to think, why are we interested in the feedback? And the most important thing which I tell people, and I think the quality surveys most of the time which happens in hospitals are pretty useless. I'm sorry to say that. I mean, you're lying on a bed, one girl will come and say, ma'am, how is the food? You say, okay. Somebody will say, how is this? Okay. And that's all you want to hear. That's the reality. But more importantly, when you want to get feedback, I've always said that there are two reasons for doing that. You can get feedback to improve, or you can get feedback to impress. What is the difference? If you want feedback to improve, then what will happen? No. What do you want to listen?
The deficiencies and areas of improvement.
I mean,
focus on.
if Gopi Chand is your coach and the sports person, what does the sports person want Gopi Chand to tell him or her?
Obviously, deficiencies and areas of improvement.
That's it. That's it. Will Gopi Chand take 1 hour to tell you where are you doing great? Oh, ye itna acha khela, mast khela. No. The only thing you want the coach to tell you is what? Where can I improve? That's it. That's the only thing you're interested in. Then where am I going wrong? But when you want to impress the CEO, the promoter, the owner, then what do you want to listen to? That the only thing you want to listen is, where did I do well? Am I with you? So I'm just saying, large number of times you have hospitals which have a team of 20-30 people, you have very jazzy graphs and reports and 4.3 and 93% and all of that, purely because the intent is to impress people. If a patient does say, like you said, food is spicy and something, all they get bucketed under two things. One is the patient or the relatives are always unreasonable. उनको कुछ भी कर लो, they will never be happy. I'm telling you, sir. And the sir will say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Sir, question here. Don't you think the positive?
That when you come to a hospital, how can you be worried about linen and entertainment channel and all this? तुम क्या फालतू आदमी हो यार? You come to a hospital, you talk about entertainment and food and all that. The point I'm making is, who are you to decide what matters to the patient? When you walk into a restaurant, can you just say, well, I don't like this waiter, smile, car parking? You have every reason to comment that car parking is pathetic. I can't. So I think that's one thing. The other, what I'm just saying is, when you talk about good stories, absolutely yes. The point I'm making is that even if you spoke very high of my hospital, if I am focused on improvement, then what will I tell you? I said, Mr. Dev, it's so good to know that you really thought very high of this place. Is there an area where we can do better? I would still want to understand from you that did anything happen which made you feel a little bothered or annoyed or something we could do differently or something we could do better. The point I'm making is, if your intent is to improve, then all you want to hear is, where can we do better, where are we not doing right, which actually doesn't happen most of the time. That's the reality. You know what Jeff Bezos' mission statement of Amazon? Anybody? Anybody? Amazon's mission statement? Make a guess. It is to be the most customer-friendly company on earth. The most customer-friendly company on earth. They are not saying which category. They are not saying which category. They would compete with everybody. Bank, airline, entertainment. They are saying most customer-friendly on earth. And what Jeff Bezos said, that he said that the best thing about our customers is that they are never happy. Seriously, he said, they are never happy. They will always have something to complain about. He says that. Actually, in his annual report, he uses the word divine discontent. Divine, godly discontent. And you know why? Why he says that? Why he says that? That our customers are never happy, they will always complain. And he said that's the best thing about a customer. Best thing. Any idea why he says that?
It pushes you to improve and invent, gives a new business horizon.
He says that we don't have to spend a single dollar to find out where to improve. Do they have to hire coaches and do their own research? They don't have to spend a dollar. He said our customers will tell us all the time what we can do. And the second thing you must understand is, when do you complain? When do you complain? In your life, have you ever complained to a postal department or electricity department? Have you ever complained? Hardly, or less.
When I feel identified with or I have a stake, that feeling when I have, only then I complain.
You complain only that something will happen. Am I right? If you have the faith, if you have the belief that somebody will do something about it, then only you complain. So Jeff Bezos says that our customers complain to us all the time purely because they believe that we will do something about it. And they believe that way because in the past that's what we have done. So if you remember historically, India was the only place where e-commerce started, we had cash on delivery. You remember? और typical Indian mindset, पहले पैसा दे देंगे, माल आएगा, नहीं आएगा, खराब आएगा, क्या होगा? So whether it is Amazon or Flipkart, they started cash on delivery. You remember? And half the time you might even say, पैसा नहीं है, कम है, ज़्यादा है, door lock. They knew what will happen. 100 things will go wrong with cash on delivery, but they still did that. Today, in how many cases you have cash on delivery? Hardly. So I think when a company responds like that, that's when you have to believe that if you complain, they will do something. So this whole thing about having a mindset that it's good that our customers complain and we must listen to that. That's an opportunity. How are we doing on patient experience, hospital in general? On patient experience, not clinical outcome. If you say on a score of 1 to 5, where are we? 3 to 4. Huh?
We are probably below 5, now probably about 6. Our aim is to go to 8.
So
1 to 5.
Yeah, 1 to 5, you can't be 6.
So my view is that average or below average. My view. And I'll just quote this example that today, I'm just saying you have Swiggy, Instamart, where you have hundreds of places, you order half a kg of onions, right? And you know where the guy is. Am I right? You know where the guy is. 4 minutes में onion आएगा, 3 minutes में आएगा. You can track the guy. What happens in healthcare? Your own sister may be going through a surgery, and the surgeon said that we'll take her to the OT at 8:30 in the morning. You see her being taken out of the room, and at 11 o'clock, you don't even know whether the surgery has started or not. Is that a reality? Large number of times, you don't even know whether the surgery has started or not. Forget it's got over or not. So, compare the two situations. You know where the onions are. Ayush, oh, ये सड़क पे है 4 मिनट में आ जाएगा, and you don't know where your sister, whether the surgery has started or not. So, somewhere my view is that there is a disconnect when you're talking about patient experience or patient expectation, and it's not about technology. The same technology which is there for onion is there for patient also. Probably we don't care enough. So I'm just saying that typical discharge time in a hospital is about 4 hours, average waiting time. In fact, somebody told me there's a reason why we call them patient. If you don't understand it, that's your problem. And there are hundreds of issues about billing and pricing. Okay, communication is anyway, we know. So this is the last slide I have. That if we all think why patient experience is important and how it can be measured and all of that, know that the patient experience in a typical hospital is average or below average. What do you think is stopping it? So in fact, I was talking to a very senior professor in ISB, Dr. Sarandre, and we both came to this conclusion that we have clinical short-sightedness, that we think the clinical outcome, the clinical competence, the quality of the doctor, etc., is the only thing which matters. The rest all is frill. Low complaints equals no complaints, right? So if we say that only 2.3% of people are not happy, so we are okay, we are doing okay. So I think that's the other thing. There are no visible, tangible benefits. So even if we improve on patient experience, then what is going to happen? So in fact, we don't mind spending 4 crores on a new cath lab or doing this or getting another doctor, etc. because we see an immediate revenue. Patient experience, somehow we don't see a clear relationship with revenue. Obviously, patient will always be unreasonable. And the last is that whatever you say and do, healthcare is a very complex category for us to actually deliver a patient. So when you talk about an airline, you talk about a hotel, you talk about a bank, you talk about anything else, somewhere the doctor will get up and say, no, healthcare is a lot more complex. You can't deliver, you can never deliver that kind of personal experience. So there's always, if I may say, an excuse which works. So that was my last slide. Thank you so much.
Industry, a patient is coming for a specific reason. But in healthcare, the patient is coming in a very stressed situation. So isn't it actually easier if we can do some basic things to give an experience right away?
So I'm saying that these are the reasons which people think. The average is more like 40 minutes. 40 minutes. And Indigo landing and taking off 40 odd minutes, and you have almost 200 odd passengers who will get down, and another 200 passengers will get in. Children, wheelchair, difficult, not difficult, and the same Indian passengers, same Amir over, right? And you will not know there are 140 odd agencies which are involved in that 40-minute operation. Trust me, 140 odd. Do we realize that the car rental agency which goes to pick up the air hostess is also important? If that car gets late, the air hostess will not be there. The fuel, the food, the cargo, 100 other things. You can't get any more complex than that. They still do it in 40 minutes and we take 4 hours to discharge a patient. So I'm just saying that it's easy for us to say healthcare is more complex. But every other business, every other industry has infinite complexities which we don't appreciate. So somewhere I'm saying it actually starts with the intent. If tomorrow you wanted and if you feel worried about that when a patient goes for a surgery, the family members are really, really panicked. What can I do to address their feeling or the panic? Can you find a solution? Of course you can find a solution. Technology is not a challenge. It is the intent. What you said, that do I really care enough about their feelings? That's the basic beginning point.
It cannot be replicated. Everything else can be copied, replicated, etc. But the experience that the patient, the customer goes through, that is something that cannot be replicated. And I think that is something that really sort of opened our eyes and really was, I thought, profound. And just to put the spotlight on this topic a bit more, how do we really create that experience that is going to be memorable for our patients and customers? Our next keynote presentation will focus on this a little bit more. High-tech, clean, green, patient-centric infrastructure. What is this all about and how do we get this going? I'm very pleased to introduce our second keynote presenter today, Dr. Anuradha, who's from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare of the Government of India and the Regional Director of here in Andhra and Telangana. What exactly is patient-centric infrastructure? Please help me welcome on stage Dr. Anuradha.
All the executive CEOs and hospital management. Really, it's my privilege to be this topic and give it to me. required for us high-tech, green, patient-centric infrastructure. And then we can implement in our India. While we are talking about high-tech, green, do you think when we go just back to a few of the years, TB cyclonians are there? I hope in Mangalgiri, who stays in Mangalgiri, and here also in Erugata. So that hospital, you can see it's a nature. It's nothing like, it's 150 acres of land and there is a small houses were there. So the olden days, we are concentrating on green and clean environment. But due to urbanization and due to increase of population, we can say, and then now we have shifted to the metropolitan cities and our infrastructure has become not as a widespread and then it is going on the high-rise buildings. One side it's good, but another side, if any climatic change, like an example, we have seen Dubai recent last 50 days back. The floods have been shed, but the Dubai was, they never expected what the scenario we have seen there. The next, you can take any number of examples. The climate has been changing, the global warming, and any of the circumstances, the total world. Now, the world is one. We are not talking about the country now, global. So how can we do from our health sector, what can we do it? How can we participate in this climatic change? What is our role? So on this subject, it is quite interesting. I hope I'll take 20 to 25 minutes and then we'll go. So as we know, and as we know in the WHO, as per the WHO definition, and then we are talking about the climate resilient, environmentally sustainable healthcare system. This is the word we are talking about. And anticipate, respond to, cope with, and recover from and adapt to climate-related shocks and stresses, while minimizing the negative impacts of the environment and leveraging opportunities to restore and improve it. So as to bring ongoing and sustained healthcare to the target population and protect the health and well-being of future generations. Today morning at 9 o'clock only, yesterday was a World Malaria Day. So I thought walkathon and then we'll start at 9 o'clock. Even in spite of at 9 o'clock also, there is a huge, the heat was almost 42 to 43 degrees in Hyderabad. And then now we have to shift the management, the health sector. How can we build a healthy environment? For this, the Government of India, we have established in 2020 under the National Program of Climatic Change and Human Health, that is in short form NPCCHH. So on this we have taken several topics. So in that, the heat stroke, as we know very well, and the second important topic what we are taking, how can we bring the greenery in our hospital service delivery and the hospital environment. So, yeah, thank you. Now, when we talk about the green and climatic resilient healthcare facility, practice of designing here, from all the sectors we are there. So this is for everyone. It is not only the doctors, as Sir said now, Mr. Ratanji. It is not that how the patient will impress. Yes, that is also our goal. But at the same time, how can we deliver our health related the areas and where we can conserve the energy? These are all also important.
operating, maintaining and removing buildings in ways that conserve natural resources and reduce pollution. Green component in healthcare facilities provides an opportunity to enhance environmental performance while reducing the GHG emissions on the healthcare sector. And then as we are discussing about the components of the green, we are concentrating on these 4 subjects, mainly energy conservation, where we can conserve our energy by low lighting fixtures, switch off policy, solar panels, energy conservation programs, and the second one is conservation, rainwater harvesting, and sewage plan, and effluent treatment plan, and biodigesters, low flow fixers, and water conservation plan, and smart buildings, Department of Planning, and fire-resistant patient safety and comfort, and green healthcare facilities like green material and technology-based operation and landscaping. Here, it's not only the health doctors and otherwise all together, maybe the engineers, biomedical engineers, and the engineering into the plan and the environmental people. So everyone energy, power energy, Ministry of Power. So everyone we have to come together and then to work it upon. As you know, in the healthcare industry in India, the healthcare industry itself in India is rapidly growing, as like in Hyderabad itself have. It's an increased energy also and consumption in the healthcare facilities. The sector is energy intensive, demanding over 8,500 megawatts per year, indicating the need for energy efficiency measures. And the same way, need of energy efficiency with the current power system being insufficient to meet the demand, as you know very well. And then the governments are changing, and then we know for 24/7 we are getting the current electricity, but in the hospital system, even 1 minute, even if you don't have an electricity means it's a horrible thing, we know very well. And conserving energy is crucial, especially in Hindi or the remote areas with the insufficient energy levels. As we know importance of energy efficiency in the health sector, just I would like to brief on few of the things. In the healthcare facilities, the 65% of energy consumption is attributed to lighting and water heating, cooling and ventilation, making it essential to incorporate green design. And as well as energy contributors, when you take it, the heating consumes 34% of total energy, but lighting and consumes 25%. And cooling, refrigeration and office equipment consume over 50% of the total energy. Can we reduce this? Yes, we can. And then how we can do to achieve, to reduce this energy? So we have to take it as strategy development and energy audits and education programs. And on this, develop a strategy for the optimum energy usage. This is, I hope, everyone in the hospitals, even the government in the private sector, and then we have to make a strategy, and then how we can reduce our energy, and then energy audits to be made. So in every hospital, and as well as we have to educate to our manpower, and then as well as to the patients sometimes, and the patients will not listen, but our training, the manpower training is a must for us. And then here, what we can do, almost like in Hyderabad, the corporate hospitals, they are following, but the hospitals which they have started long back, 40 years back or 50 years back, I hope in this line, when we do the energy audit, and then we can save the energy lines. Number one, it's an occupancy sensors. Now in most of the hospitals, we are not using, and then we are paying a lot of bills to the electricity department. Can we think about the occupation sensors? If the patient is there, and then that time would be the light or AC or whatever the components, and then it gives it consumes energy. And the second one is refrigeration equipment. It's not that we are getting a low refrigeration apparatus. And as you know very well, in the government sector, we are using the GEM, a government e-marketplace, and whatever the low price we are getting, it may be a 1-star or 2-star, but at the same time, and then we should think about the energy consumption also. So we have to go 3 plus and the refrigerators whenever we go. And energy saving equipment, utilize about 3-star electrical equipment whenever we use it. And the energy audit, as I said, we have to make everywhere a nodal officer for that, and then they have to make it a systematic approach to the energy management, aiming to balance energy and identify energy streams in a facility, responsibility and process the infection. This is infection prevention control committee we have given in the government sector. We have given there's a committee is there, so that committee can do the energy audit in the government system. And the second will go to the water management. Just on the outline, I'm covering it, and then when we take it an energy, and then we can have a sensors, and then we can have a LED. We can replace all the bulbs to the LED bulbs, we can make it, and then we can, whenever the AC we require, that time only it should work, and then we have to fix the temperature. Such a sort of, so you can audit at your level what the changes can be made to reduce our energy consumption. And the second one, and then we are talking about water. And as we know very well, in the water situation in India, and as with the US, that the 638 billion people now even still they don't have water, healthy drinking water. So in this scenario, and I hope due to the urbanization, and our countries also, that there's many places they are not getting the good, healthy and safe drinking water. So in this, when we go, and then there is a groundwater contamination, as we know very well, it may be a fluoride, arsenic, uranium, and why rivers and groundwater are polluted. And this impact of climatic change poses fresh challenges leading to increased consumption. Access to the safe water, drinking water, and water crisis in India, you know very well, during that western part of over India, Rajasthan and all, and with the travel for even one एक बाल्टी के लिए एक छोटा सा गड़ा के लिए the look far away, and then even still the water is not available for those things. So
if the system is being hacked, the system can be stopped. We cannot work. Maybe we have to go back to the other way in the paper mode. So there are few of the things which are a little barrier. Even though having said that, technology is inevitable, we have to adopt that either now, sooner or later.
Thank you. As software selected, whatever the software selected, a lot of training is required to the employees and as well as all the stakeholders to this way. And Mr. Vishnu, is e-procurement is helpful to the healthcare and how it is helping you daily activities?
No, very good question. Presently, in our Indian market, healthcare industry is growing very dynamically. And the day-to-day pharmacy challenges are more important. And the pharmacy management is playing a vital role between the hospital and the external and internal other stakeholders, where it is like a bridge or interface. We are directly facing with the drugs arrangement purpose with the manufacturers and the suppliers and wholesaler and retailer and local markets everywhere. Apart from that, we are responsible for internal departments where laboratory department, radiology, nephrology, and other departments also. And all these are very challenging job for the purchase manager or the supply chain management. If the e-procurement or technology adopt in a better way we can streamline the process, everything, and the pharmacy department can focus on the daily activity where the patient can improve, the patient services will be in better way, like reduce the stockouts and increase the benefits and hospital profitability. At the same time, we can focus on the inventory management where reduction of inventory and overstocking of inventory, all these parameters also we can monitor closely and which will get additional indirectly or directly huge benefit for the organization and patient care safety. So e-procurement is suitable for healthcare industry, particularly the pharmacy department, and we are expecting more in future business also. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all from our side. And any questions?
Yeah, sure. Microphone, please.
EHS is very important in our procurement criteria. With a justified decision, it's not only the L1 pricing or any particular item, it's all about the collaborative team effort, wherein our EHS team
as well as everyone to check the capabilities, like what has to be done. We check each and everything and we take into account. Because most of the obstacles is sure. Currently we are and we define it.
Inevitable, and the onus is on us to implement this technology and these final these new healthcare channels and implement them. So what exactly are these new healthcare channels and how exactly are we going to go about implementing those healthcare delivery channels? Let's find out more, and that's exactly what our next panel discussion is going to look at. I'd like to introduce our panelists one by one onto the stage, starting with Mr. Kapri Jalota, who's the Chief Operating Officer at AIG Hospitals, Specialty Eye Hospital. We also have Mr. Saurabh Gupta, who's the Regional Chief Operating Officer of King's Hospitals. Ms. Smita Chaudhary, who's the Vice President of the Women and Children's Center at
the lunch. So we'll try to do as early as possible. I'm seeing a lot of in crowd here. I started my healthcare journey about 4 decades ago. So I have seen healthcare, transforming from a pigeonhole, where we used to make bills and put it into the pigeonhole, write prescriptions, write our medical, diagnostics. So that was the era we started. And from there, what we are today is a very, very different angle altogether. I think during the pandemic, especially, we have seen a lot of innovation happen in digital. Digital thing is happening for a long time, but during the pandemic, we have seen lots of this telemedicine happening, lots of things which are happening, on a virtual mode, because patients are not coming to the hospital, doctors want to see the patients. So there are a lot of things have happened during that time. Personally, I have seen this transition, so I have my own comments on the digitalization in the medical field, their limitations, all these things, I have a very different views altogether. But it's nice that we have this session and we will be on time and before time. We are promising everyone. And one more very, very interesting thing I just wanted to mention before we start the panel, that my mentor and my boss and my guru is among all of us, Dr. Hari Prasad sir. And in fact, I worked under him for the last 28 years. The single boss under whom I worked for 28 years. And this is the first session I am actually talking in front of him. 28 years I worked, but the first session I am talking in front of him. Sir, my apologies if I make anything wrong. So the first question probably will start with Mr. Saurabh Gupta. How can digital solutions such as EMR, telemedicine, whatever we call them, how effectively implemented, improving efficiency of your organization? Is that that's the perspective you can try to give.
Hospital. Thank you for inviting me. So, I think this is a very interesting question because everybody is now talking about digital, and especially after the pandemic, things like EHR, wearables, everything has come into picture. They have been there for the last 8-10 years, but the focus has actually come on the digital ecosystem. I would just like to step back why we are actually talking about these wearables and EMR, EHR, whereas they have been there for quite some time. So I primarily see 3 reasons why we are actually talking about that. And just some data sets we know that we have scans per 1,000 people. And the resources are very skewed because 65 to 70% of the beds and all the tertiary care facility are near the 8 to 10 established medical hubs from Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore, all these are there. And there is not where majority of the population stays, because majority of the population still stays in Bharat, which is apart from these places. There is also, when you talk about specialty specific beds, and especially talking about the pediatric beds, we have less than 2,500 pediatric beds in India. So if we go in detail, the condition is actually grim. What propelled this discussion after pandemic is also the change in consumer behavior. Because when there was lockdown, when there was pandemic all around, people were not able to travel. So the healthcare started moving near to the home of patients, and in fact sometimes inside the home because we established ICU inside home because the facility was not. So there is some sort of comfort which has come after the pandemic in believing that healthcare can be delivered near the home and through these digital health ecosystems. Now, since there is a scarcity of resources, these digital systems, we talk about wearables, remote monitoring, EHR, and everything has their own applications. But these things can actually multiply the resources which you have. So I'll actually give you a live example because everything. In fact, there are 2 examples. One is majority of us use Apple Watch, and Apple Watch 4 Plus has a inbuilt feature of recording your cardiac rhythm, and there are more than 100 cases already registered in the Western countries where Apple Watch has been a savior, and in some of the cases it has actually dialed 911. So that is the type of interface we are talking about. The other example, since I was before KIMS, I commissioned Medanta Lucknow, which is the 2nd largest hospital of Medanta Group, and we were the largest hospital in UP, 1,000-bedded facility, quaternary care, and we were getting patients from almost 500-kilometer radius. Now, we were catering to cities like Allahabad, Varanasi, Gorakhpur, where you do not have good ICU setups. And again, when it comes to ICU, we don't have many setups, doctors. So what we did is we invested in e-ICU setup. And I understand, Dr. Subramanian, Apollo has been pioneer. But we actually established beds in Prayagraj, Allahabad, we established beds in Gonda, we established beds in Raebareli. And believe me, it was a very welcome step. We actually multiplied just 2 doctors into almost 25-30 beds we were looking into. We were able to save many lives. There was a station ambulance. Whenever anything was not proper, 1 or 2 patients were transferred, but majority of the patients were treated there and then. And I'm happy that government is also taking a lot of steps. We are talking about now ABHA, which is the Ayushman Bharat unique number for portability of the patient data. Because once you have that, then everything, you can literally go to any hospital, you will have the data available, the treatment will be faster. So the digital combined with AI has a lot of potential in India, especially when the resources are scarce and we have a huge country to cater to. So that's my viewpoint.
Wonderful, thank you so much. My next, we have done a lot of work in telemedicine, okay? And I understand you have lots of understanding about telemedicine also. So what is it made difference in your medical practice, especially? Not working?
you very much for inviting us over here. Telemedicine has been there for quite a long time, but this has gone into a very new light during the COVID time, which has impacted the COVID wave or the COVID patients and the care of the treatment. It's also instrumental in decreasing the disparity between the rural and the urban population. It's also very, very essential for the integration of the Indian healthcare, thereby decreasing the burden on the tertiary healthcare about the primary healthcare or for that matter even the primary health need. The challenges what we see is adapt to the technology, availability of the technology, and there will be assistance from the traditional healthcare providers, and the most important is a regulatory mechanism which has to be there. The most important fields of medicine which has got a very huge uplift of telemedicine is ophthalmology, my field, neurology and dermatology. If you think about telemedicine, it's been there, if I remember correctly, it is 2002 when Arvind started as a teleophthalmology, and we do a tremendous advancement in the teleophthalmology as a subject. Right now, in the primary care, any trained optometrist can go to a deeper inside the rural area, get a visual acuity of a patient, then with a normal fundus camera, which is a non-mediatic, you not have to dilate the patient, get a fundus photograph, transmit that photograph back to a tertiary hospital. An ophthalmologist sitting in the tertiary hospital in the urban area of the city can diagnose the condition of that particular patient and give an inference or the diagnosis to the patient and the guidance to come back to the tertiary hospitals or to have a regular treatment. So that is a very, very vast developed field of teleophthalmology. Now, what is the difference that the teleophthalmology has, or telemedicine has made? Yes, number one is it has increased the access to the healthcare in India because of availability of the facilities of the healthcare provider as well as the technology to the patient at the rural inset. Then it has become a very cost benefit for both the healthcare provider as well as the patient, because there is no need of a physical visit of the patient to the hospitals. Then there is very important aspect which we have found in the COVID area is continuity of care. That means even without the doctor, the patient visiting to the doctor, with the help of a telemedicine, there has been a continuity of the care delivered to the patient with the help of a technology. And one more advantage of the difference we can make is the patients have an access to the specialty services with the help of a telemedicine, sitting across in their room or in their house or in the village and getting the specialty services from the tertiary hospital. And then very important is the efficiency of healthcare has increased a lot with this telemedicine, especially in terms of diagnosis and the treatment part of it. Now, medical professionals or the hospitals wishes to have a telemedicine as a part of their establishment. There are certain things which they need to have as a criteria. Number one is to have to follow the guidelines of the Ministry of Family Welfare and the Health, that there is called as a telemedicine practice guidelines which they have to adhere. Number two is a technology availability, wherein we have to be very concerned about the patient's privacy, consents and the type of treatment available. And we also have to see the medical persons has to be trained and given education and certification how to use the telemedicine properly in terms of a medical and ethical validation. Then the most important factor is the patient engagement. A lot of patients may not be able to use the technology to their advantage. So patients has to be taught about the use of the technology and also their rights and responsibilities. So it has been a very significant change in the delivery of healthcare to the population at large and to the rural population in particular.
Thank you. Actually, very, very well said. We need to understand the limitation, and also we need to understand where the people stop. And because medicine is something which is very different. So we need to do that. But I'm going to now open up one very, very important question. I'm sure all of you must be facing this problem. On one side we talk so much of technology, telemedicine, EICUs, wearables, all these things. But you have a set of doctors who have been traditionally practicing, especially in the larger hospitals if you do. So there are a lot of challenges actually, though on one side it's nice to talk in these conferences that we have this, we have done this, we've done this, it's very nice. But at an implementation stage, you have phenomenal challenges implementing this to change the mindset of your clinician and get what actually outcome you would like to really have. This is a great challenge most of the time, all the hospitals actually faces. So I open up this question with Catherine, who's actually running a big hospital like AIG. So what are the challenges in implementation of these newer solutions and digital solutions?
Thank you, Mr. Subramanian. Guys, my name is Captain Jerota. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of AIG Hospitals. Before I answer this question, I would like to take a step back and probably structure this into 3 parts. The first part is the selection of the technology per se. And I think this is something which I feel that a lot of us are going wrong. There is water everywhere, but not a drop to drink, right? We see so many technologies around us and we get excited with a drop of a pin, right? Because there are so many things we can do. I'll talk about a small example from my hospital. We had somebody walk in from my senior team, walk into me and says that, look, I went to Medanta and they have got an excellent visitor management system. Why don't we get it here? And I looked back and said, yes, that looks good, but what is the process that we've gone to choose that technology? And I think that's very, very important. I really urge everybody to look at what their core problems are and not get excited by technology, because that's everywhere. We see so many techs come through every day, and I think all of us, would probably be seeing a new tech every day or every other day. So my suggestion is that one of the first things that we need to do is identification of tech, because it has to suit your top 10 problems. If it does not solve your top 10 problems, or can be done at a drop of a pin, and it's a simple integration and you can just do it, I suggest that you do not fall for that temptation. Because what will happen is, in this process, that you will pick up that, but some other bigger problem will engulf you, and this will be forgotten, and this will then be a failed tech initiative at your end. So I think first and foremost is that need identification, which we need to do, which is vital for the success of the tech. Once we have the need identified, the evaluation of tech is important, and once you've gone through the process that yes, this tech is there are several pitfalls that can happen along the way. There are lots of them, and most of them are in the realms of the CTOs. So things like data privacy, regulatory compliances, scalability and flexibility challenge, the technical support and maintenance availability of that tech, and compatibility and interoperability. All of those things are actually best left for the CTOs to decide. But as operators, as people who run hospitals, I think the 2 most vital cog in the wheel while looking at integration of tech is first, a function of time. I think any program that we take, if it's not time-based and within a limited period, implementation is done, I think will start to fail. It has to be a fixed timeline, it has to be done in a certain time phase, and we need to really go after it in a big way for it to be successful. And the second and equally important is the understanding of the change, because any new tech brings about change, and change management is a very, very important process that we need to follow. And the only success mantra that is there in change processes is inclusivity. The more you include people, the more they come through and be part of the process, the more you include them early, I think the tech becomes that much more successful. So to my mind, yes, there are a lot of tech side challenges which are there, which I'm sure the CTOs will solve. But from an operations perspective, time and change management are two very important things which we need to face for any tech to be successful.
Thank you so much, Capri. Of course, the challenge is very bigger challenge of buying of your own consultants. That generation of consultants is not easy to buy. So buying of their mindset that is the major challenge. And I completely agree with Capri that we need to understand which technology you really want to use in your hospital and what is that your doctors are looking at. Or you are just pushing whatever you want to push. It may not be relevant. So that's where things fail. Thank you so much for your insight. It's very good. One question to you, ma'am, and Smita. We have lots of these health apps. What is your view on these health apps while you're looking at the patient outcome, patient satisfaction? So what's your views on that?
So, I just want to share a small story. See, I have a very bad skin condition. So, if I go into sun, it burns and I get very bad patches. My mom had the same problem. So, when my mom had it all throughout my growing age, I saw that she used to go to this doctor who was very different to her. He was so busy that it takes an entire day for the consultation to get to. It's in a different town, so it's like a one-day thing. One day is gone. And then seeing her like that, because I have the same condition, I have become a little proactive. So the first time I get a hint of it, I consult a doctor and do that. And my daughter's 14. She has the same condition. And because she's seen both me and my mom, she's more proactive than me. She uses an app called UV Lens. She told me this, that there is an app called UV Lens where you can input your skin type, and it assesses your skin type, and then gives you an indication of what the UV index is like during the day, how much sunscreen she should apply, and how frequently she should apply, when she goes out in the sun, when she's at home, when she's at school. So she plans it. And when she told me about this, I was a little skeptical. So I wanted to know what, if it is really scientific, if it can be relied on. So when I was asking her the question, she said, I did the research and I know that they are actually partnered with this group called Skin Vision. And I researched myself, and Skin Vision is this group of doctors who've launched a platform mainly intended to detect early stage several types of most common types of skin cancers based on HD images of any lesions, skin lesions, moles, any of that. Now she's gone into that depth to understand the app that she wanted to use. Now the reason why I've given this example is because there are three things that we can gather from here. One, the new set of patients that we will be catering to have a very different behavior to what we have seen right now. And also their needs are very dynamic. So we will have to learn to cater to that, and these health apps help you to do that. Secondly, the validation of it, the knowledge that these new generation has, the access that they have, gives them the power to actually validate them. Any random app will not be used by them for long, so they will validate it. And thirdly, the outcomes is where my doctor will probably have less number of encounters that she has to go to a dermatologist compared to my mom and me, because she's using an app which is helping her to prevent it. So that's helping with the patient outcomes. So this is just an example. So in the space of health apps, we have 4 different categories under which they come. Self-care models, it could be to do with primary care models or pre-hospitalization, like the ones that we use for Veto, for example, or e-pharmacy. And hospital models, which could be PHR included, integrated EHR, or post-hospitalization for that matter, it could be rehab, home care. There are multiple apps coming up which we cannot use. We will have to learn to integrate and find ways to make them part of the larger healthcare delivery. So that's what I think.
Do you see any problem in integration?
In terms of integration itself, again, like how we've discussed, why is the main important thing. One, there is an impact. definitely. We need to cater to the changing new set of patients. Thirdly, as new, like for example, larger healthcare organizations like big hospitals, when we're trying to enter into new markets, we're trying to look for asset-light models, right? So if you're trying to get asset-light models, health apps and online platforms are the way to go. Because rather than having resources that helps you, resource optimization helps you to do that. So I think there is definitely going to be barriers, like how Mr. Kapil was explaining that there are definitely going to be barriers. But the main important thing in terms of integration is to humanize that tech solution. Not every tech solution is for you. For example, I am currently working with a startup which works caters specifically for pregnant mothers to do this hand-holding during their antenatal care, and that's the area where I work in. So I was keen to work with them and understand also as a vendor as well. So the biggest hurdle that startups have now is that they have a great tech solution. Their idea is great, but they do not know where that tech interface has to move on to human intervention. And that is where the big, large healthcare organizations, hospitals will have to step in and create that kind of framework where tech solutions can be utilized. But it's only then that would happen. The large organizations have to take that initiative. And just like how earlier we were talking about, it's all about the intent. If you have the intent, you can always get over the barriers.
Wonderful, wonderfully said. Thank you so much. One question, and in fact, my supplementary question I have already asked you. So I am left with another 2 questions to Kathy and Saurabh. We would be taking 1 minute to answer this as a quick round of this thing. First question I would like to ask you, the low-cost way of, tying into India's 2050 sustainability vision, this tech solutions. What do you say in just 1 minute about it?
So again, 10 seconds. While we are talking about sustainability first for the benefit of the audience. So what has happened since 1918, if you compare the temperatures, average temperatures to 2022, the average temperatures have gone up by 1.5 degrees centigrade. Now what does it mean is that you have more, air condition requirement. A lot of species are on the verge of extinction, and the glaciers are melting. So it has become a threat for the survival of the mankind. Now, what has happened is when India was G20 president, this thing was discussed, and they came up with a lot of interventions which by 2050 India will be, net emission zero. When we talk about hospitals or healthcare as such worldwide, 5 to 6% of the emissions are attributed to healthcare. However, in India, there are studies, the emission goes up to 12 to 13%. So, there is a significant portion of carbon emissions done by hospitals in India, and we need to reduce it because otherwise, 1 out of 12 hospitals will have to shut by 2050. That is the research. Now, it can be done by 2 ways. One is a project-based approach, other is operation-based approach. And I think already in the morning, Dr. Anuradha must have spoken about project-based approach. There are a lot of things like, using eco-friendly materials, water conservation, not using too much of glass, which is a thing nowadays because India is a hot country. But there are a lot of things which you can do operationally, small but significant steps. So what we have done is in our hospitals, we have stopped the use of plastics. We use jute bags, reusable jute bags. That is a small step. We don't use films anymore. We are on DICOM compatible paper. So, films itself are a source of, emissions because the destruction causes a lot of environmental damage. And even paper we print whenever it's required because if you can see packs and, other applications, it's not required. Then reduction in volume of the water which is used in flush. There are flush available which you can tweak to reduce because the average consumption is around 10 liters of water per flush. So these are small things which we have done. AC temperature is controlled at 24. Then especially in my erstwhile organization, what we did is we used our parking, because it was a horizontal hospital, to use the solar energy. So the parking was actually installed with the solar panels, and we were generating 40% of the requirement by ourselves. Use of organic cleaning agents, completely banning things like formaldehyde and other things, and use UV instead of chemicals whenever you can. And e-waste is a big problem, because we will try to increase the life of biomedical equipment, because there is an artificial obsolescence, because my competitors putting, I will also put, even when there is life. So in some of the cases, we actually transfer that equipment to a secondary facility, but we try to increase the life, because that is a waste. So these are some of the things which we have done at the operations level.
Okay, thank you so much. Can we know one quick question? What is your biggest challenge, one challenge you faced by implementing the technology in your hospital? No thing.
I said it all. I mean, it's getting everybody on board. As you said, rightly said, getting consultants on board and actually tweaking the solution to suit them rather than trying to sell our story to them. I think that singularly is very important, getting everybody on board.
Thanks. One last question to you. Audience, this is the last question. 1 minute time. What is your views of this technology in medical tools?
It's a wonderful opportunity for India to have to go to the next level in the medical technology. We need to first of all we need to increase our infrastructure development with a lot of accreditation facilities to match the international standard. We need to have a technology upgraded, and we are, as you know, the IT masters of the world. We have to take the advantage of this technology to bring the patients back to India. We were supposed to be number one, and we need to have be a medical tourism combined with the tourism to be number one in the world. The technology is the word. Apart from that, the infrastructure development with an accreditation, the international accreditation facility like JCI are very huge.
Thank you so much. So the final conclusion is that technology we have to adopt. We have to go with the technology. There is no questions on that, because that's the way forward. But in medical field, what we need to look at is that yes, there is digital, there is AI, there is everything, but there is a human being. We are treating human beings, so that human intervention we should not be forgetting. That's the most important thing. Whatever we do, God has created every individually different. There are no two individuals are alike, actually. So whatever technology, whatever digital, whatever AI we use, please remember the person who is treating that patient is the most important, and these are the complementary to the doctor and nurses who are actually delivering the healthcare to your system. Whether it is app, whether it is technology, whether it is digital, whether it is AI, whatever we do. So that is the thing which at least I have learned in my 40 years of experience. I've seen the entire transition, but this is something which is irreplaceable. Whatever technology, whatever digital, whatever you get, you can't replace a doctor and a nurse who is giving the, finally that healthcare delivery to the patient and the outcome. So I think, with that, closing remarks, thank you so much, everyone. And we are all available during your lunchtime. Maybe if you want to ask any questions, you can ask, because we are already late. I don't want to hold you back for some more time. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Suresh and Sunny. Great. Thank you so much.
But for now, we spoke so much about digital. We will swiftly move on to the next presentation, keynote address, which is digital dentistry. Slightly different track, but digital all the same. Digital dentistry, digital health, and the future of healthcare. For the short presentation, please help me welcome on stage Dr. K.V. Ramana Reddy, who is the Dean of Mala Reddy Dental College for Women and the Professor in the Department of OMFS. We're at a very unique stage where a lot of things are happening and a lot of inputs and digital technologies, devices and computers, and a lot of things are happening, and it's really revolutionized the way dentistry is happening. The simplest thing is, I don't know how many of you have been to the dentist, the various reasons for going and not going to the dentistry.
But this is a very simple tool actually, where you are communicating to the patient as to what exactly is happening, because instead of telling, but actually showing. An intraoral camera is a very good device where it actually can show them as to what is happening inside the mouth. And digital radiography has actually revolutionized, and a lot of you who are from the medical industry, you know that we have outlived the films and developing and processing. And this is a very simple, if you have been to the dentist, this is a radiograph which is taken for the few teeth, and this gives you a very detailed. Orthopantogram is a basic screening X-ray. So if you, even before you go to the dentist, in Western countries you get this X-ray and then go and see your dentist. So it gives you detailed information as to what is the status, and it's also a good X-ray to keep, go back and see the progression of the disease over the period of time. Cone beam CT has actually revolutionized. We know our common CT scans, but cone beam CT is the dental version of the CT scan. The great advantage is less radiation, and it gives you a lot of inputs in diagnosis, treatment planning, and post-surgeries also. It gives you a lot of input as to what is actually happening. The thing which is revolutionized, which is the in thing in dentistry, is the scans. All of you, if you have known, some of your relatives would have got some treatment done. You take your impressions, which is, you put gooey material inside the mouth and patient has gagging and things like that. So all these things can be avoided with a very simple, scan where the scan is run for about 30 to 40 seconds. You have a complete impression, digital version, which you can use it to diagnose, to treat, and then plan for your restorations. Excuse me, can you run that video? Instead of the impressions, you actually have a planning of the restorations can actually be done on the computer, and you have a design restoration. And the next thing is actually you're actually printing. And this is a chairside CAD/CAM milling machine where same day dentistry or within few hours you're actually giving the restoration to the patient. It could be a filling, it could be a crown, or it could be a missing teeth, or it could be implant processes. So same day dentistry is what is the happening in the dental industry. So we, again, 3D printing has gone into every part of our dental practice. There are a lot of things which you actually 3D print. It could be temporaries, it could be crowns, it could be dentures, or it could be even aligners, the invisible braces which most of the people who have irregular teeth. So again, the greatest advantage of invisible braces is you don't have those metals inside the mouth where the hygiene is compromised, and it is precision based. It's very, very comfortable, and the efficiency is very, very great. And like a lot of replacements are happening in different parts of the body, so the implants is the in thing where the common diseases are dental caries and periodontal disease. And periodontal disease, it's because sometimes it's because of bad hygiene. But there are a lot of other causes like genetic causes where if the patient is losing teeth at a very early age, then you have very good options of replacing. It's called as a full mouth replacement, or you have implants, the necessary implants, the lower jaw and the upper jaw. And the great thing, the advancement is you have guided surgery where you put precision implants in both the upper and lower jaws. And this is one of my patients, my own relative, which we did in my clinic last month. And the patient had all the teeth removed and replaced within 1 week. And as you have a lot of digital solutions, we also have a lot of digital solutions which are actually facilitating easier practice and patient recall and then patient acceptance. So there's a great use for all these softwares, and then it is being followed diligently. And everybody wants to have a great smile, and then the digital solutions are available to actually plan it within the computer, print those temporaries, and then give that beautiful smiles. So the digital technology actually helps us, but it is again the skill of the dentist which combined with the digital technology will give you those beautiful smiles. So this is actually, the mocks are actually done on the computer, and then you try on the patient so that beautiful smiles are possible. So it's an integration of dental skill with the technology where you are giving those, efficient outcomes to the patients. And this is a device which, the gold standard is a biopsy, but when you have a large population like India where guttka chewing is very, very common, so this is a device which can be used for mass screening of the patients, and if the patient is having a suspected lesion, then you can probably go in for a biopsy. So I think all of you are aware about this. So what is the future of dentistry is, I think AI is going to play a huge supportive role. It will help us in the clinical decision making, and there are companies which are probably suggesting that it is a second opinion, but I think the end of the goal of any app or AI is to give better outcomes for the patient. And one company is claiming that you are detecting cavities earlier, and the great most of us are in the hospital industry. Errors in the hospital or outside the hospital are a huge burden for the medical and dental industry. So this will actually help us in reducing the errors. So AI is, I think, what I feel is going to be the future, and it is up to us as to how we are going to incorporate it into our day-to-day practice. Thank you very much.
To check out Task Force Interiors and the services that they provide, they're a lunch partner for today, as well as all of our other exhibitors that we have at the back of this banquet hall. So we shall take a break for lunch now, and we'll be back in approximately 45 minutes time for the next part of the agenda, which includes more panel discussions, more insights, and more presentations. Thank you all for your attention this morning, and see you after lunch.
The world is full of people telling you who to believe they are. Well, we thought we'd tell you who we're not. Let's start here. Are we an internet company? Well, we connect and power just about everything around you, helping you honestly. Like, how can we do more with less? We access energy and investors and inventors, all passionate about doing what's right. We're open. Humans of all sorts from all over learning from each other. We're here to help power and connect what you do every day to ensure that life.
Technology trends, driving healthcare with the cloud, including cybersecurity, big data, artificial. Oncology Institute. Because we wanted both. We also have Mr. Subramaniam Gandhi, who's the General Manager of IT of Apollo Health and Lifestyle.
As the name goes, this session is more on the kind of emerging technologies which comes into the industry, and especially how can tell us how technologies, emerging technologies is helping him deliver better care at his organization. To my left, I have two dear friends from the same community as I am, who lead IT functions at major hospitals in Hyderabad. So what we were thinking is, from morning here, a lot of sessions on digital, on technology, etc., where people from the business side have given their opinion on what technology can do, how is it helping their organization, etc. So what we were thinking is that can the CIOs of hospitals in Hyderabad give the technology aspect to it, what areas they suggest to business before we decide on technology to improve an organization. That's what we will do. The panel goes like this. We've got three speakers. Unfortunately, Dr. Vikram had to leave early because he had a flight to catch. So we have about 2 or 3 questions for every panel member. So they'll take about 2 or 3 minutes for each question, and yet we'll have some Q&A time minutes. I'd like to start with the right, Mr. Warren. Warren, you've seen so many technologies in your experience helping organizations deliver better care, especially in healthcare. So, where do you think some of the benefits lie? And from a business side, where do you think organizations should be more proactive in their approach before choosing technology?
Okay, thanks. So let me introduce myself. Right now I'm completely working in a very special area, which is oncology, which is one of the chronic diseases. where we have a lot of technology coming. While a lot of these points got covered at that point of time also. And when we look at technology, when we look at its benefit in the healthcare, and we also look at it as a new anchor, because earlier the doctor was the only anchor, and then you had environment around the doctor and was bringing about the medical outcomes or an excellence in medical outcomes. Now you also have technology which is enabling a lot of other benefits apart in bringing the medical outcomes or the desired medical outcomes. So Saurabh was talking about these, the areas where technology can actually solve your problem, which was of, he was talking about circular economy, that how it has to solve the ESG goals, where investor behavior has become that. Capri was talking about it, what problem do you want your technology to solve? The same holds true for that. If you look at it from a business point of view, so your concerns are that you have to have a trust between a private healthcare provider and its customer or its patient. So that is the one area over the last decade you've seen that, so the trust deficit is also there. So if you look at technology, now by bringing a lot of transparency in processes and all that, it is getting that trust deficit, filled between a provider and a patient. And how do you do that? So you have a various levels of technology available. One is a medical technology bucket, where you have robotics, and you have other, you have radiomics, you have radiology. Simple PACS is no more a PACS technology, right? You can run algorithms on that, and then you can give, you can categorize solutions based on that. So that is one part of the technology. Then you have operational technology. When you talk about, operational technology, you simply don't talk about HIS, EMR, or EHR. You talk about Abrito, which is speech to text, right? So your doctors no longer has to type a report. They can simply speak and report gets typed. So that is where you have operational technology. You have Power BI, where you know exactly what your hospital has done. Any report that you want to have, it is at the button of the click. You also have a vertical imaging, where if you look at cancer for that matter, you have a long follow-up, right? You have a 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, you have many images already happening. You want to compare image. Earlier it wasn't possible because you have to run it. Now, you can at a click, you know exactly how the tumor has progressed. So that is, operationally making hospitals efficient. Patient no longer. Now earlier you were giving CDs for the imaging that you were doing. Now the concept of CD is completely gone. So that's technology. Give them a link, open it 1 lakh times, and you don't have to carry it anywhere. So the patient goes with only the link in his mobile and can open it and show it to. Second opinions are completely moving towards technology. They are no longer physically required to go anywhere else. You can simply at the click of a button send those reports to any hospital and you have second opinion available to you or an expert opinion available to you. So these are areas where transparency is coming. These are areas where patient and hospitals providers are coming. This is also, you have a monitoring. You have a 24/7 monitoring, right? Which technology is bringing to you. You have a doctor if he has to take a decision. So where the concept comes from a clinical, so you have an entire CDSS. So algorithms are deciding that this is what it is, and doctors, human error is going down into that. That is also happening through technology, right? And if I have to go little further or deep into that, then you have procedure, personalization, you have an individualization of treatment, which is completely your wearable devices and all that you are wearing, you are throwing it, the data to you, and then you are personalizing the treatment. And if you go further deeply into that, you have smart rooms now. So you have a bed where you have a sensor, below the bed, and sensors are directly throwing the data to the doctor or to the nurse outside, and she doesn't have to visit the patient inside. So these are, actually the desired medical outcomes are happening here. That's where you are driving excellence, and that is also one of the reasons why India is now fast becoming a medical tourism hub. Now, earlier you had only 70 countries where the patients are coming. Now you have almost 131 countries, which is more than half of the globe. They're coming to India to do that because our adoption of technology, because technology driving transparency, medical outcome, it's also reducing the cost. It is providing
one of the problems in healthcare is accessibility and availability of healthcare. You can't solve that because, like Saurabh was telling, that we've got one bed per 1,000. And if you look at ICU beds, it's only just 2.3 per lakh. And if you look at globally, the average is 14 or 15 beds per lakh of population. So you can't, overnight create that kind of a physical capacity. So you have a technology to solve that problem. So through tele or through mobile or through a lot of other means, you have that treatment or healthcare available to the hinterlands of the country. So these are some areas where you have technology playing a big role.
Thanks, Warren. So in essence, technology can solve a lot of problems, both clinical as well as non-clinical. Primarily just to help the patients as first case, and obviously people running hospitals also will be at ease. So going to my left, so these are people who implement technology. Nothing will happen overnight. There's a process around it. It's a journey where a hospital undergoes as far as digitization is concerned. So let me come to Mr. Shiva, who runs IT at Star Hospitals. Shiva, maybe you can spend a minute or two to just tell the audience what's your experience of implementing technology in hospitals. Where do you think we are going right? Where do you think we need to improve? Some perspective, please.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Nowadays, the requirements and the responsibility of the IT is completely changed from previous to the current era because of the technology enhancements and placing the right technology at right place. For example, if you look at the porting applications and the application you could talk to various other applications and what is because of the latest. And for example, if I put my HIS as a core application, it should talk to my CRM, it should talk to my EMR, and it should talk to my other device applications which are integrated with the system. And we need to ensure that all seamless integrations have to be happened securely. For this, we need to find out the right platforms. What are those platforms? For example, if you look at cloud, cloud is giving the different advantages for us. Like for example, you have a dynamic scaling of the server because today we are running in one hospital and now the everything is coming to the enterprise. Maybe in 6 months of time, you are going with other 6 centers. Similarly, applications. We are integrating different applications. Different applications are creating lots of data, terabytes of data, and holding that data in the cloud securely. We need to have a right platform. And coming to that, again in the cloud, we have a lot of challenges. Identifying the and identifying the cloud support partners and architecting the cloud environment to suit our requirements. For example, what is to be designed for the application working and what is to be designed for the structured data and what is to be designed for the non-structured data and how to ensure that all this data is protected and safe from the breaches. That is one area. And if you look at the next challenge what we have is every hospital should be cyber resilient. For the cyber resilient, we need to have a proper plan, mechanism and everything. For the cyber resilient, first and foremost, we need to have a proper cyber assessment in the organization. Based on the cyber assessment, you create your resilience plan and repeat the same thing to the at every quarter or hourly based on the intensity of the threat and the landscape you have identified in the cybersecurity. And coming to this, apart from this, all the other important thing is internal IT governance. That is more important. You might have cyber security tools and other things to safeguard your servers, data storages, and your endpoint system. For example, if you don't have an internal governance policy, and it is very difficult to protect your data. Create a proper internal IT governance, educate the end users, and we need to explain to them in the importance of the cyber resilience, data protection, and that is the other area. And now the other technologies have come now, the AI and the big data also. AI and big data, we can widely use this for generating the analytics. And a lot of technologies available. Our can also have explained further. But for an IT, there is a challenge. One second. We need to make sure that collection of the quality data, how to collect the quality data, and also how the consumers are consuming the collected data. There are the biggest challenge is trying the users, end users who are creating the data. Because the data who is consuming, the people who are consuming the data are not, they do not have a direct sync with the data creators. We should create a bridge between these two parties and the quality data to be created. And at the same time, what we need to do is we need to explain the data consumption and when and where to use the data. And in the organization, we need to have a proper segregation of duties to be designed. And based on the roles and responsibilities, we need to give right access to the right people for using the data. That is into the other technologies which we have available and the challenges to the CIO in any organization.
Thanks, Shiva. Thank you. I think in essence, if I could add 2 cents to what Shiva said, if you hear him out the last 1-2 minutes, you will understand that it's a collective job, right? Any digital transformation is not an IT's job alone, right? If you think any transformation exercise, any new technology trying to build and show results, and everybody from business will come and ask questions, it is doomed for failure. Let me give you a simple example. In some mature organizations who have transformed themselves digitally well enough, every person, obviously there's a digital transformation office which gets created within the organization, led by the CEO or the CEO. Within that, every person who's part of this journey, one of their KRAs is how well they use technology. I'm a big proponent of that mechanism wherein every person within the organization who uses technology, until unless some percentage of their KRAs are on digitization, then you will not get that buy-in from them. If you don't get a buy-in from them, no digital transformation will happen in the organization. The organization will keep spending the money, IT will keep getting blamed, and it's not happening, that is not happening, usage, etc. So my suggestion is, till the time those KRAs are not defined, every person is part of the digitization exercise. We might have the money, we might buy the technology, implement it, put it on cloud, on-prem, whatever. But the actual essence of using it, what benefit we would want to use, until that buy-in is there from every function of the organization. And transformation, I don't think is a successful exercise. Going forward, let me go to Mr. Subramanian from Apollo. In your experience, sir, can you just give us a minute or two on obviously your experience on digital transformation, how do you have done it in the past? Then second perspective on the integration front. Because in the industry, if you go look out in the industry for HIS, you will get HIS starting from 2 lakhs to 10 crores. You will go to EMR, same range. So market is very mature. So how do you see the role of integration in ensuring all applications work well? Your thought process.
Thank you. So, if you take IT journey, particularly healthcare, so it started from EDP and then it is transformed as information technology, health information technology. Then it is moved into digital transformation, digital technology. And then now we are in instead of IoT as a technology, now we are in Internet of Medical Things. So we have gone into different level. And we all know that all hospitals we have implemented, we have digitized all our systems, starting from patient appointment and all internal billing systems and integrating with the lab equipments and laboratory information system and tax implementation and digitizing the medical image. So all these things, everything we have done it. So we have done almost all the major hospitals, and there are a hell lot of applications available in the market. For us to available to implement all. There are a lot of applications available for us to implement. But the question here is, which application is good? If we ask any healthcare management person, how is your application, HIS application running? They may say it is running good, maybe with little issues. But if you ask, are you happy with HIS system? Nobody says yes, isn't it? Similarly, we are here, we are implementing applications more than 20 years. And if you ask us, so for any type of hospital, which HIS is the best to implement? We have to think and give answer. We cannot give straight away this particular application will be suitable for this any hospital. This is because we are seeing that why we are having this gap. Even though we are very good at technology, each hospital is doing their own way, technologically advanced, but still there is a gap. If you see, whether this application is fit for all, or the same application can be used in different hospitals. So certainly answer is no. This is lack of standardization, right? So now all hospital management or healthcare management have to look at the standardization. Of course, maybe very less percentage of digitization is going to come, but it's only certain level. Whereas all healthcare providers have to come forward and think about the standardization. Of course, this may not be happening in India because of lot of business requirements or business strategies, right? But somewhere we have to come forward and make the standardization as like US or UK, isn't it? So anyway, I'm not getting into technologies because technologies, everybody from morning, everybody has spoke about it. We are not getting into that. But how there's a gap still, why it is, isn't it? We have seen during COVID app, which is actually tracking efficiently for all, even though we have 130 crores of people. So it has handled very successfully and tracked every patient, first vaccination, second vaccination, and third vaccination. Successfully it has been taken because it is initiated by government and everybody has to follow that. So similarly, the same standards as like now ABA is coming at a certain level, having a unique ID and a certain level of health records. But it should come, entire process, entire hospital processes should come as a standard. Then we can have even better systems and we can show even better results digitally.
Thank you, Sudha. So let me come back to Varun. Varun, you know that there are a lot of investments coming into healthcare. A lot of VC funds, PE funds, etc. Let's see, healthcare is a huge opportunity. From a business side of things, especially when we talk about resilience of how each hospital is better than the others, where do you think technology can add value for you to tell this hospital is better because they have this technology or because they have these doctors, etc.? Do you think technology has any role in ensuring the organization is better resilient, better marketable, if that's the right word?
Oh, absolutely. Because as I said, as Subramanian was mentioning, that now you have a hospital, you have to build the hospital around technology. It is no more around one specialty because technology helps everything. So that's an anchor now.
But let's also redefine or define the word called resilience. What does it mean that hospitals are resilient or not to the technology? Because technology is now evolving technology itself. It is producing technology itself, and hospital buildings and hospital specialties have to respond to that disruption that keeps coming every year, right? Whether it is in a medical technology, whether it is an operational technology. And I separate these two technologies. While one goes for doctor, the other goes for the hospital, and both of them have to marry to make more money. So investors' concern is that how operationally efficient you are. And if you look at today the concept of NPS, which is Net Promoter Score, that gets driven by technology. So now you have to look at a couple of other mega trends in the environment, whether it is buying behavior or whether it is where you are seeing how the patient is seeing the care and how he's buying that care. That is one. Look at the urbanization, because the more urbanization happens, the more nuclear families get created and they require a different approach. Their approach to healthcare is completely different than urbanization. Third, you look at the way disease patterns are changing now. So if you look at most hospitals are dealing with now either acute care, right, or it is the chronic disease burden. So it's a cardiovascular, cancer, diabetes. So if you look at down the line 3 to 5 years, you will have 60% to 65% of the diseases going into chronic healthcare, where you have a huge amount of follow-up. The longer the patient lives, the more follow-up. In cancer, you have, every 3 months or every 4 months, you will have to undergo a lot of other things. So that disease pattern is changing. It is no more driven by, infectious disease. So that keeps coming, that keeps happening, although in India morbidity always remains more than 6%. Right? So a lot of morbidity, gets managed through technology, whether it is a telemedicine or it's a virtual care. Right? So the organizations which are better prepared in terms of structuring their technology, whether it is a virtual care, whether it is a supportive care. So you have rehabilitative care which is now come because of the chronic diseases. You have palliative care which is also part of the supportive care in cancer care. You have a diabetic care you have to provide. So these are follow. So the hospitals or the organizations which have got a great technology slotted into virtual care, telemedicine, CRM, driving Net Promoter Score, expert care. These organizations creates a USP for patients because that increases engagement. And modern customer or people, they require engagement with their healthcare provider. So the better this channel is, as in the previous session we were talking about the delivery channels, your disease pattern will force the organization, the hospitals to actually structure their entire technology engagement or the technology with the patient differently. While medical technology, you drive robotics or you drive precision care or you drive personalized care, will continue to force the doctor to adopt it faster. And hospitals are now places of science. Right? So they are not just hospitals. So hospitals, they have to actually, every 2 or 3 years, they have to undergo a lot of change because you have environmental sustainability scores where investors also question the board. And then you have medical technology. Then you have these rest of the technologies where your patient is getting engaged. And one engaged patient gives you 5 times more revenue because you have diagnostics there, other radiological tests, then you have a consultation. And this also solves one of the parameters that the modern customer will look at is how do you reduce his engagement cost. So while for 5 kilometers in a city you have to take 30-35 minutes, that has a cost because if you today take a taxi also it is not going to cost you less than 50 rupees per kilometer. So you end up paying 300-400 rupees for 5 kilometers for your visit. So you have to factor in. So technology will also reduce they also look at that parameter when I am getting the quality. So
very
this
well. is how very well, very well. Thank you. So I wish Vikram was here to tell us something about the security aspect to it, but because we have 2 CIOs here, maybe we'll spend next 5 minutes on the cyber security piece alone, in terms of how do we as IT fraternity ensure the organization is secure cyber, and what kind of things are coming up in the market, and from an organization perspective, what are you guys doing to ensure your organizations are secure?
Narad, when it comes to the cyber security, as you said, different technologies are coming to protect the cyber threats, and attackers are coming up with more advanced technologies. And for this, one is you need to have a regular cyber assessment, what I was talking about, and also create a proper cyber resilience assessment activities in the organization, and continuously upgrade and invest on the technologies for the firewall protection and point security, and also the to manage the internal threats, give a continuous training to the end users and the department heads about the cyber security and how to use this, how sensibly we have to use the data, and what are the precautions we need to take when we are using the data. That is one area. And second area is even after we are having all this cyber security and cyber resiliences in place, maybe attackers can come from other areas also. For that, what we need to have we need to have a proper DR and a golden copy of the data to maintain the agreed, compromised RPO and RTO in the organization to ensure the business is clean. And we need to have a DCP plan during that particular period from the RPO to the RTO.
Thank you. What are your thoughts on cyber security?
See, and nowadays we are hearing a lot of cyber security threats. It is starting from medium level to very big level of hospitals. And now healthcare is more targeted for the cyber security threats. So cyber security, now if you see a lot of hospitals, they are not really investing on security. So they will only look at the HIS level, or next level they are going for EMR, or maybe little more into CRM. But they are not worried really about the cyber security. So there may be a server room created in the hospital, and then IT team will look at that. So it is not sufficient for us actually. Very few hospitals or group of chain of hospitals who are having. So they only really invest into this IT security standards. They maintain it and they invest on it. So security level is not that one-time investment we put. We have got some solution and it is left out. No, it is every day you need to analyze and improve that. So it is like we have put one law, but as a cyber security threats will come in another way. So every time you need to analyze. We are having multiple tools to have it. So starting from firewall to server level, application level. So and few people they put at the server level. They will put all these firewalls and all. Nowadays most of the hospitals they are having it. But there are cyber threats, it will come directly to applications. So there we need to have a penetration testings before installing it, or maybe even after installing it. Every year we have to have a regular checking and to secure the data. And also should have a proper audit logs. So who are accessing it? Is there any third-party access log is observed in the server? So everything we need to check it and take actions immediately. It is not that somewhere 6 months ago something happened and today we are doing. No, maybe that threat will start before only, even we will not know. If we are not seeing regularly, by the time we come to know, they may hack that. And nowadays, digital data is it's an asset. It's not that data, right? So it's an asset for a hospital. So this is more important that all hospitals have to invest certain level of amount as the security.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Please.
So let me, why he is spoken. Sorry, please go.
In addition to Subramanian is done. And we should make sure that in the architecture we should have a provision that the data which is at rest and the data which is in moving either through API or some other medium, it should be in an encrypted mode. That precautions we need to take care of when we are designing, architecting the solutions.
So it brings me back, if I throw some number, we recently had the case with AIMS, where this happened, the incident happened, and it brought it to sensitize every organization for that matter. But for the audience, if I throw some data, why it is so important to invest in cybersecurity now, and what is that data? So if you look at AIMS, which happens to be one of the largest organizations, has roughly around 33 lakh patients in OPD every year, right? That is complete. And now in one OPD you have at least you generate 18 points, data points. So multiplied by 18. Now this is just one. Look at CMC Vellore, 18 lakh people in OPD. You have SMS Jaipur, 36 lakh people in OPD. You have Safdarjung, RML, GB Bank, you have here, and you look at Apollo chain group, actually in OPD across the year, they have 76 lakh people there, actually OPDs. So now multiply it by 18 and look at the number of, data points. And to create one algorithm, one medical product running on algorithm, you require only 10 lakh, data points where you have to run this, and you create one medical, right? Like you have a tuberculosis. So your algorithm can actually detect whether it is tuberculosis or it is some other malignancy. You don't need a doctor for that, right? Your regulation has to move to that level. So now that algorithm is available. So for that, you have different algorithms for other diseases. So look at the India generating number of data points for chronic diseases, for other diseases, which no other country can, because they don't have that kind of population. They don't have that kind of OPD. That is why it is very important for Indian healthcare organizations to invest a lot into cybersecurity, because that data point, and it is unfortunate part of that our own organizations, Indian organizations are not creating those algorithms. Because if you look at your machinery, right, your medical, whether it is GE or whether it is Siemens, etc., and all those things, these are the multinational companies which are engaging in everything here, and it remains there, and that data gets used. So now you have GCC coming in. That's why they are establishing GCCs, which are global, capability centers in India to create these products, and we can have that. So it's very important to understand that why do we need security? Why China or other countries or these hackers are after the data of healthcare in India. So that's a perspective I wanted to add.
Thanks, Warren. So guys, I think you've seen the technology bit of it, what all things an organization should do to ensure security is there. You've heard from a non-technical side in terms of what is the potential of security and what we should have in place. So before we open out the floor for questions, any further thoughts? Anybody has any question? My request is, please introduce yourself and whom do you want to ask?
I'm not sure who my hospital management. So I always had this thought, we have been the pharmacy of the world, we have been the IT solution provider of the world, and we are the world tourism, medical tourism, one of the premium countries. But why there is no marrying or amalgamation of all these three very distinguishable strengths? Because see, when I came to this hospital and I was saying, we are having a HIS or HIMS they call it, from some local provider. So you have a TCS, you have an Infosys who is a solution provider. Why there is this smaller organizations who are providing these things? Why not bigger? Is there it was bugging my mind, or educate me, I'm not sure why bigger players, structured organized players are not coming into this. I was hearing some company called Suvarna or whatever, I may not be knowing the name. So these companies are providing the solutions. Why not the bigger structured, customizable IT solution provider or package provider in the medical healthcare industry? If it is, and I am not aware, please educate me so that I learn to go better informed from here. Thank you.
So for debate, That, yeah.
I'm talking about administrational organization, like right from the patient walking in, registration, entire thing, not necessarily the clinical part.
No, so if you are that end-to-end solution to a hospital, so see, hospitals are amalgamation of many industries put together. Like hospitals are not industry in itself. So you have a housekeeping which has actually come from a hotel. So modern hospitals are basically hospitals. So you have a hospital and hospitality both putting together into it, right? So hospitals are places, so there is a debate whether it's an engineer's place or a doctor's place, because basically doctor has that clinical skill, but he has to harness the technology to bring about the medical. Right? While he harnesses the technology, he requires a human intervention of a nurse, because the patient remains only 30% of the time in the doctor's hand. 70% it is the nurse and it is the environment. So, hospital, if you look at it, it's an amalgamation of different industries. So you have a housekeeping, you have a food and beverage industry into it, you have a nursing into it, you have operational side, you have a hospitality side, you have a cleanliness, etc. and all. And then this overarching architecture, everything is provided by different IT companies. So you have a dial 30, you have a nurse, DSS is different, you have, now you have an asset management. So there's another concept which is hospital on app. So if I wanted to know about where my wheelchair is lying, I have I can see it on a map, on my mobile. If I wanted to know where that patient is lying, I know, my nurse doesn't have to go inside the room to see whether the patient has fallen from the bed or it is on the bed, because the bed is sensor enabled. So the company which is making sensors is completely different. So today if I wanted to do city planning, I just have to take the sensors and put it into the drainage system of the city, and I come to know about which bacteria, which virus or which fungus is growing in the drainage of this. In Delhi, if you look at it, how hospitals now are trained, because they know that in these areas the AQI is this, so you are going to have the catastrophe of lungs. Whether it is COPD, whether it is asthma and all, and these are the hospitals which need to be prepared. That's how emergency care is moving now. That is where the technology is, and these technologies are being created by different people. So there is nothing that one company can create the end-to-end solution in a hospital.
So if I can take just 2 minutes to answer that question. You're right in saying that healthcare might be very primitive as far as digitization is concerned when you compare it to a banking or an airline industry.
Yes, exactly.
The reason, there are two things what comes to my mind now. One is that obviously the investments have started to flowing into healthcare right now, right? 10 years, 20 years before, if a IT head goes and says, I need about 10.
Not having proper access to all great hospitals, multi-speciality, seeing 1.4 crore population, not everyone can have access to the multi-speciality. So how can this robo-assisted surgery be made more available to the middle and lower middle class and at an affordable value? Do you see any silver lining to it?
So right now, the more indications are created for it, because robo is not meant for every surgery. So you have more surgeries happening laparoscopically. Before that, there were open surgeries. Robo surgeries are moving because it's a precision. Basically, it reduces, it has a lot of effects. So the more you adopt it, the more cost will come down and it will be affordable to you. But still, there are only 15% of the surgeries, basically gynec and GI surgeries, where you have 80% of the robo being used. Right? So, as you have newer indications happening, more technology gets adopted, more hospitals are able to adopt it. Now you have a business models also, so it's a lease rental, etc., and all those things are happening. So it will definitely be benefited. Right? The benefits will go to a larger population over a period of time. In 5 years, we've done a pretty good job.
Thank you. I think the gentleman there, last question.
We are expecting support from our side also. My question is, do you think artificial intelligence is helpful for the healthcare future expectations? Or what are the challenges you are expecting? And what support you are expecting from the user department? So, sir.
Yeah, so you
need from as a user from us.
Okay, so there are 3 questions that you have.
Yes.
One is, AI has got a huge role to play. So if you look at cancer care, you will see artificial intelligence, right? So if you have to catch the disease before they happen, right? Now, when I was talking about sensor-based technologies, which is driven by AI. So AI requires a model, basically the data points that we were talking about it and basis on that. So suppose today I have to eliminate tuberculosis from this country. It is still India specific disease. I need the symptoms of that, right? So what do I need to do? I don't need to engage a radiologist to actually detect whether it is tuberculosis or not. AI can do that job for me. So these are medical products of AI coming because of a data. Second, AI is also doing is it is studying your environment. It is studying the composition of your environment. When I talked about the sensor-based technologies, putting it into the drainage, water, etc., it is understanding the bacterial growth, it is understanding fungal and other growths. It gives me whether what kind of a pandemic I am going to get into, what kind of a disease I am going to have. Like I give you a case in Gurgaon. Gurgaon, every year you will have a typhoid happening. Why it happens? Because there is a problem with the water. How do you find it? It is through that. And then you design that, okay, these are the algorithms, this is the treatment protocol. If you look at NGS today, you have you have a cancer care, there are 230 hospitals. Doctors who have decided that this is the cancer protocol for these diseases, right? So every hospital will follow that. That comes through a lot of, algorithm, like the system that Watson created. IBM created Watson, and Watson got in the first prototype 96% of diagnosis. It diagnoses the disease. It's an algorithm. It's not a doctor. Doctor only verifies it, right? So AI will have a huge role. Number one. Now, exactly what is our challenge? Regulation has to move, right? You have to move the regulation to accept that this is approved, AI approved. It has 99.9% or 92 point this 2%, 3%. That regulation has to get in. Today, if a radiologist doesn't sign or a pathologist doesn't sign a report, it is not accepted. If regulation has to move, it has to get approved by AI, whatever the product of it. Third thing is, what support do you expect? See, the trust between a human and a technology, this is still a big problem, right? So the more the technology develops trust in human, right, the more human trust in, and that solves doctors' problem also. That is the support, that is the adoption, basically, the trust in technology. So these are 3-4 things which will happen definitely over a period of next 3 to 5 years, basically in India. When you have the entire hospital on your app, now you have My Apollo 24/7, etc., all those apps available where you have all your reports right from the beginning. And panel before us talked about interoperability. Suppose if I get my UHID generated in Apollo, right? That UHID is accepted by Yashoda, by Care, by Max, by Fontis. Everybody accepts that, and they have access to entire record of mine. That's where we are actually heading towards, and that was established in West 20 years before. So we are a little late to that, but we are adopting it fast. The more we adopt it, the more product will come, and the more trust society will come. Yeah.
If you see the health checkup, we call it as a preventive health checkup. Earlier it used to be like, once you get that health checkup, doctor can see and identify that there is an issue, right? You need immediately treatment. But now we have come to the level where we do the risk analysis through health checkup, right? We have analyzed all different patients' data and come to conclusion that these are the parameters for the risk, and we define the level. Now if we do health checkup, we can say this patient is in what level of risk, isn't it? So we are not waiting for the doctor, actually. Technology is giving that out. So AI definitely will have that level. But when it comes to the application, so it is people, process and technology. So technology will evolve at any level. But when people are not defining the process properly, there is no standard process to follow everybody. It may not be 100% or at least maximum percentage of it. Then you cannot get it. As he was asking, why international applications are not there. Everybody knows that SAP is very much successful in
At Everest Industries, one of our partners for the initiative. Everest, in fact, one of our silver partners.
And we'd like to hear what is it, the innovative solution that you have to offer to our delegates today.
A company called Everest, which is a 90-year-old young company. We talk about with session on AEL, we talk about a lot of materials. Our products, which are really, Everest is associated with a lot of products from 1932. What the product I'm talking about is completely a non-asbestos, a sustainable product, a green certified product, a green pro product. Well, this gonna really complement the design of an architecture or planning department who does spaces for hospitals. We can offer you driver system based on the technical prerequisites. It's a passive fire protection, hygiene cleaning factor, finishing consideration, provisions of fixings, features and benefits, acoustics, fire rating. So this takes care of all that. It's completely dry construction. Using our products or our system, when you do partition walls, it doesn't require water, it doesn't require cement, it doesn't require sand. Different parameters, when you have different, in a hospital, different rooms has different technical parameters. You have certain non-fire rated walls, you have certain fire rated walls, you have specific requirements of STC rating. So we can customize design and give it to you as per your requirements. Various kinds of LSTC and FTC can be aligned with our systems, and so as per NBC part, it's all designs are done based on the building code. We also have, majority of you have seen fine, we've come out with a lot of fire accidents which causes to loss of lives of people. This kind of system which can offer you minimum 1 hour fire rating and more than 2 hour fire rated walls. A typical system, we can offer you partition system from 67 mm to 250 mm thickness of the wall, an STC rating from 30 dB to 70 dB, which is a multiplex requirement. Fire rating from 30 minutes to more than 2 hour fire rating. You can do a lot of retrofit work also on our driver system. We don't offer just the boots, we give you the wall. We give you the fall frame, which is a galvanized frame. We give the fiber cement bolts, we give the fiber cement screws meant for it. We give the jointing compound meant for this. And across Pan India, we take turnkey works. We have trained associates who does as per the specifications. We also give minute detailing. Based on your sectional drawings, we can give minute detailing of junctions, columns, etc. This kind of walls can take lots of unplanned loading. For example, our fiber cement board can take almost 40 kg on the board without the frame support itself. Various types of thickness. That's why I said range of various heights of a wall based on the height of the requirement. Stud size may vary. But we can offer you a single layered partition or a double layered partition based on your prerequisites. Even L junctions. We also have a lot of X angles, which takes care of the right angles on the junctions and corners of the wall. Even coping and skirting detailing, door jamb detailing, flush doors based on access panels, what you require, the tile finishing. This can take different finishing options. This driver systems can different, because the fiber cement board is a layer on both sides. You can take different finishing options, like you can paint on it, you can have wallpaper on it, you can have tile, you can even clad with marble or granite. It all comes under basically severe heavy duty. We also design as a hybrid system along with fiber cement board and with a gypsum board based on your technical parameters. It's the strongest drywall system what we offer because it started higher unplanned loading. But that's the key factor of this drywall system, severe heavy duty impact resistance. Look at any, starting from a consulting room to a ward, to a nurse room, to a laboratory, cath labs, ITs, operation theatres, into a pantry areas. This board also can be a multi-purpose usage. Even in different backliners, you can use this board as a backliner. And we can do a lot of mechanical fasteners. Even if you need certain planned loading onto the wall, we can design and give it to you as per your sectional drawings. Hospital is the one place where you have different segment of people in the one place, where you have a lot of heavy traffic areas. So that's the reason the product or the board what we use is something called Super HD, which is a compressed board, which has a density of almost 40-50 kg per meter cube, which can take care of any kind of impact. Your offerings. If you know the toilet wet areas, with this board can take tile finish or marble or granite finish. It's extensively used in even in washroom or wet areas. This kind of fixing detailing can be done onto this particular walling, so you don't have to go for a brick masonry construction. For example, if you're going a brick masonry construction for a 100 square meter wall, including plastering, it's going to take you 21 days. With this right of construction, it's hardly going to take you 5 days. So you save a lot of time, you get a better floor space. That's the key advantage of, and you have a design flexibility. But after your installation also, if you want to have a design change in your partition wall where you want to, you can almost 80% of the material can be reused. Even waterproofing can be done on only on the floor area, on certain parts of the height. The kind of wall framing what we use is rust-free frames, which also has this particular serrated slots where the wiring can go into. We also have a product which comes in 50 mm and 75 mm thickness, which is a solid wall, an actual replacement of brick. This product can associate in your project when the time you do piling at site. When you do piling at site, what you need a site office to labor accommodation. 50 mm is used in internal walls, 75 is used in external walls. Even army, a lot of barracks is made with this kind of panels. So 75 mm will give you 2 hour fire rating, 50 mm will give you 1 hour fire rated walls. And this can take different kinds of, unplanned loading onto this particular wall also. This comes in 2.4, 2.7 and 3 meter in height and 2 feet in the width. It's an interlocking system which is very easy to install. So why have this? We will not only sell the product, we sell the concept. We will be along with you from the planning stage. And if you look into this kind of dry construction from the planning stage itself, you can minimum savage of steel consumption is 9 to 11%. And it's all non-load bearing walls. You don't want to add upon weight onto the walls. Even not only the expansion, even if you do any retrofittation work or refurbishment of your existing hospital also, also you can get to with this kind of constructions. It's impact resistance, unplanned loading, sound insulation, fire resistance. Basically based on your prerequisites, customized walls can be done. There's certain hospitals which we already done. During the COVID period, we did almost 62 ICU centers. We do almost 81 quarantine centers across India by using such system, because that time was a more major essence of it, which saved lots of lives across India. The various hospitals, with the way you use our systems. Ceilings, we have a product called BioClay, which is a hygiene factor product. We have a display of this product also. We want to take your insights to, we just launched this product. Basically, it's an antimicrobial tiles meant for pharmaceuticals, hospitals, laboratory area, cath labs, ceilings, meant for a ceiling application. We also have a few textures on the ceilings, which is again water resistant, fire resistant, termite-proof boards, which is easy to do maintenance work. This is meant for utility areas or washroom areas. Certain hospital, ceilings, what we have done with our products. What the doctor about is BioClay. Basically, this gives you under 10 years guarantee for this particular product. It's an ISO 4 certified. Antimicrobial properties is the key USP of this particular product. Even our products can be used in a lot of facade applications. So the product what I talked about, Super SD, this has a density, it's a type A category 4 board. It can be extensively used in facade applications where you can avoid usage of aluminum composite panels or a glass. A few sites will be done facade with our products. A lot of external walls, hybrid light gauge steel frame systems will be predominantly, if you look at southern markets, are more into this kind of using light gauge steel frame construction. Or sometimes hybrid construction, light gauge steel frames and MS structure or BB structure. So in that on all that kind of such type of constructions, this kind of products or solutions is easily compatible one. A few hospitals we have done, some buildings we have done with this. Few health centers were used our wrapping on banners, which comes in 50 and 75 mm. This is one of the things what we have done in almost 17 days. We did massive partition work of almost 7,000 square meters in 17 days during the COVID period. This is a typical thing where we did an R5 cement board, 8 mm on an MS frame. This was a work in progress from the day one. Other hospitals where we did. I see client as a lot of people have been associated with it. I still feel there is enough scope or enough opportunity or potential for using such systems which can really give you even a green build certification for sustainable product. And this will give you a design flexibility in your designs. It can be used in not only rebar partition, starting from roof arching to false ceiling, internal wall lining, external cladding, mezzanine floors, a backliner, you name the application. These boards can be done with such a lot of applications, can be used in various applications like this. This is purely complements in a designer of this designing. Have a nice day. We always have identity crisis whether we say that why are you working? And we say is it Everest masala or Everest asbestos? So but this is the peak that Everest which we met.
Okay. So the name is supposed to endure that insight. So ladies and gentlemen, that we want to do it has to be sustainable, something that has to be continued for over several years and decades, and minimal impact on the climate and on the environment. And so it is fitting that the final presentation today is a keynote address on sustainability in the healthcare sector. And our presenter is Mr. Satish Suri, who is the Managing Director for Green Path Energy and Sustainability Services in Hyderabad. And Mr. Satish is going to tell us what do we need to keep in mind, what are those key parameters and metrics and factors that we need to keep in mind to ensure that any initiative that we take is sustainable in the long term.
Hey everyone. So this is my today's last session. Ending with sustainability. So from the green building and energy efficient technologies available in the sector. Now, I saw gathering is very less, I think, maybe due to time or some kind of thing. But two motivations for any speaker is, one is audience and second one is that subject. So anyway, I try to wind up as short as possible. The subject is in this presentation is each and every word is a very powerful word and which requires at least one day for each and every word, not for the entire session. It is a subject like that, but I will try to make it happen within 20-25 minutes. If you permit and if you are available, definitely we can discuss further also. So basically, I am life cycle assessment, sustainability, safety audits all together I am talking. More than 250 to 300 audits I have executed as of now, and I am a certified energy auditor, certified Six Sigma Green Belt and Black Belt professional. And I am a lead auditor for ISO 9001, 14001, 18001, 45001 and 50001 energy management systems. So this is about my background and all. So I don't want to waste the time to move into the next session. So no need to discuss much on the terms climate, resilient, sustainable infrastructure. Whether it is a hospital or a hotel or any industry, infrastructure is infrastructure. So we are all here. So from morning, there are 2-3 terminologies which I define in my personal view, healthcare sector. First one is affordability, accountability, and the third one is I forgot that word. I will come. There are affordability. First point is we know how health sector is growing from the, from past 10 days, from past 10 years, as well as from the pre-COVID and post-COVID. We can distinguish in that way. Recently, WHO has delivered one report on affordability of healthcare globally. You see, every year, on average, 39 million people are forcefully indebted to the poverty because of the affordability of healthcare sector. 39 million people are forcefully put into the poverty zone. How the government, from one side, sustainable development goals, lot of things we are discussing and we are implementing, and again at the same time, this is the situation. So my request, I'm not here to comment that things are that, but how we can make it more sustainable, resilient healthcare infrastructure. So this is the overall ideology I would like to talk on that. So affordability. So now resilient systems and all we defined and we have a lot of things on that, but I will go to that direct topic into that. So in healthcare sector, on GHG emission point, 8% is the total industry is generating the GHG emissions in Indian prospective point of view. That means the healthcare sector is accountable for the 8% of GHG emissions generating within India. And GHG emissions about carbon footprint is about 4%. So you can ask the carbon footprint how it is different to GHG emissions. There is it depends on the global warming potential. You can discuss with time permits. And the air pollution is also accountable for the healthcare sector is given around 8%. And the overall emission factor, if you see GHG emissions, overall emissions in healthcare sector globally, US is playing the major generator of the GHG emission, which is accounting around 27%. And next one is, can anyone guess? Sorry? China? Yes. Third one is European Union. And fourth one is Canada, Japan, into the 6% around. India is the best in this case, 4%. Our share of global GHG emissions emitted from the healthcare sector, our account is 4% only with 140 crore population. That means we are almost 8 to 10 times better than US. From the population to hospital GHG emissions. So that means we are all conservative in nature by default. So this is already morning we had a discussion on that. Madam also explained about these climate resilient health systems. So I don't want to brief on that. So now I am coming to the ESG part. So sustainability we already discussed. So there are two things. One is net zero and carbon neutral. So everyone well aware of the net zero and carbon neutral, but the difference between them, I would like to brief because for your academic and overall understanding. GHG emission we talk. Net zero we talk about all the GHG emissions. Start from your CO2, nitrous oxide, SO2, and HFC, CFC, and SF6 emissions. Whereas net carbon neutral we talk about CO2 emissions only. So now there is a question: why GHG emissions and why CO2 carbon neutral? Only one we can adopt. The reason behind that is global warming potential. There is a terminology where we need to consider the effect of each and every component in the system. So GHG emission, carbon net zero we talk morely, we discussed more framework on the generated emissions and the controlled emissions. How you can reduce your emissions and how you can remove the emissions from the atmosphere. So that we talk on the net zero. Carbon neutral, we talk on the carbon emissions only, how to remove from the atmosphere. So this is the overall big difference in that. And of course, carbon neutral is a part of net zero. And net zero is a part of climate change. And climate change is a part of climate positive. There is a new research going on how the climate positive. So it will come soon into the action. So when it comes to ESG, so sustainability part, I'm stopping there. So when it comes to ESG part, Environment, social governance. This is the framework which was started in 2004 from the European and American standards. Lot of brainstorming exercise from the different sectors has taken place into that. And the 2004 to 2009 they are not able to come to the framework. Now after in 2009 they framed called ESG, Environment, Social Governance, which will talk about the complete environment. Here, how many are responsible for sustainability, sir? Here, can you please raise? Who are directly or indirectly dealing with sustainability? Everyone, right? Everyone. If your functional working is different, maybe, but as a part of citizen of India or citizen of the world, everyone is responsible. I will give one information on that. Recently, Central Electricity Regulatory Commission has declared one 280 pages report. Final 2 points I will talk on that. Only one first point is, for every generation of power, 1 kilowatt hour, 1 unit in simple way, is emitting 824 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent. 824 grams of equivalent carbon dioxide emission it is generating from the thermal power plants. When it comes to means solar power, hydro, everything, if you are comparing, overall it is generating around 780 milligrams. 780 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent. Why I am using equivalent is I am considering all the GHG emissions. SOx, NOx, HFC, CFC, SF6 and all. Example I will tell you, why global warming potential? Why it came into picture? Because carbon dioxide equivalent is made as a unit 1 kg, for example. Suppose methane gas, CH4, the equivalent distortion from this, the weight is given to the methane is 28 kgs. That means generating of 1 kg methane gas equivalent to generation of 28 kgs of carbon dioxide. That means the potentiality is very high, but the quantum is less. So that is the reason if you see overall GHG emissions, 65% accounts for the carbon dioxide. Rest are all different. Highest global warming potential indicator product is SF6 gases. You know what is the potential of that? 28,500 kgs. That means if you release 1 kg of SF6 gas into the atmosphere, which is equivalent to 28,500 kgs of carbon dioxide. But the source of SF6 generation is very less. The best source, source is like transformers and electrical panels, isolations and all. So those are the equipment. But the emission quantity is very less. So this is the part of global warming potential. Here now we are in the environment. Now we are talking about environment, social governance. Then to the environment part. So first one is green buildings, concept and implementation. So I am a lead auditor for green building assessment accredited professional. In 2014-15, the green building cost is around, for the green build projects I am talking, is costing around 8 to 10% higher than the project cost, normal buildings. If you want to go for green building product, green building certification, LEED certification, the project cost could be around 10% higher than that. Now the beauty of that is, now the green building is costing around 2.5 to 3%. Higher than your normal building. The potential benefits I will talk on that. The energy conservation will be around 35 to 45%. Water conservation will be around 30 to 40%. So I am talking about these two because these are all directly related to the your green building concept. There are ventilation, all the comes under product category again. So energy, water. And green building will talk about the four pillars. One is energy, water, Environment comes under your indoor air quality. Air changes per hour. So these are all coming to that air part. And fourth one is waste management. How waste management we will talk in the S part. Social part we will talk, but now we can talk on this. This is the concept of green building and baseline energy study. So energy study, why it is required? Energy assessment, why it is required? I told you that 820 grams we are generating per kilowatt hour of energy utilization. I will not say wastage, utilization. If you are properly utilizing, that is okay. So on an average, energy audit will give for any kind of brownfield projects. The efficiency can be, energy saving part will be around 10%. I saw even 20% energy saving part also in some cases. So at least 5 to 8% damn sure. If you go thoroughly energy baseline study and energy audit assessment. So normally energy audit can be 20 pages or 200 pages. So this is again a debatable subject. So coming to the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. Just I would like to touch up because there is no time here. Even it's a one-day topic. Scope 1 means direct emissions generating from your operations. Whether it is a home or healthcare or hotel, hospital, whatever it is. So scope 1 is direct emissions. Scope 2 is indirect emissions. That means purchased energy. That means you are drawing power from grid. So that is also your baby. Scope 2 is part of your baby. And purchased heat and steam. Sometimes there are common utilities for the steam purchase and all. For the laundry purpose, healthcare facilities. So these are all the required, and for firing also it is required, boilers and all. So that is also part of your scope 2 emissions. Scope 3 comes under, it's a very biggest asset. 70% is scope 2, scope 3 emissions. Scope 1 will be around 15%, 20-25% will be scope in general, healthcare sector. So scope 3 comes under two things. One is, scope 3 is nothing but indirect emissions. Out of, there are two categories again in scope 3, upstream and downstream. There are 15 categories are there in that. So start from your life cycle assessment of your product and service fit into that, and from your upstream and downstream emissions like end of life equipment, end of life your service. Suppose healthcare facility engaged one auditor for auditing some for XYZ. The auditor's emissions comes under your scope 3 emissions. Auditor will not, auditor has to take the emissions, right? From flight, train or whatever it is. So this is also part of your scope 3. Scope 3 is the biggest subject and portion. And of course, scope 1, scope 2, there is a limitation, but scope 3 is like 2-day debatable discussion, no doubt at all. So this is for general understanding I am talking. So coming to the renewable energy on-site and off-site. So normally we will use on-site means whatever the solar panels you have on your rooftop system comes under renewable, on-site. Off-site means power purchase agreements under RPO obligations. Of course, healthcare sector is not into that, but of course some hospitals are use energy intensity industries, but still Bureau of Energy Efficiency has given only 12 sectors under high energy intensity industries. Start from your thermal power plant, steel, cement, petrochemical, refineries, Indian railways comes under this high intensity energy industry category. So hospital sector and hotel sector, hospitality is not there in the sector, but now future there are the draft policies, discussion is going on. Maybe shortly they will put into that also. That means they have their RPO obligation, renewable power purchase obligation. You have to use 5% of the renewable energy at any cost. But of course, in hospitals, the biggest challenge is rooftop is the biggest challenge. I will say one thing. In all the hospital terrace, if you go there, there will be cooling towers, there will be laundry or something. It's all occupied. But management has to take the decision on that, how we can establish on-site renewables. At least off-site is very difficult. Of course, in some states it is very difficult, like Telangana and all. So, but rest of the implementations can be done from your renewable energy source. Renewable energy source means please don't think only for the solar. Like your fire, you are using boiler, for example. Modify that firing into the briquettes. So this is also part of your renewable energy. and purchasing the renewable power if available. So these are all the on-site assessments we can take it up. And coming to the next emission reduction strategy, this is a part of all the points whatever we discussed as of now. And net zero decarbonization strategies, organization or management should take care of the net zero strategies. The strategy to be delivered from the top management with all the stakeholders, and this is to be implemented in a step-by-step manner. So in 1 year, this is we have to make it net zero, not like that. Step by step and continuous improvement and monitoring and verification of the system, that is also important. When it comes to operations and any facility greenfield project given to you, 50% job is over, but next 50% job is operations and maintenance. So that is the biggest area where we can focus each and every day activities with in line to the sustainability. And again, adoption of green mobility for the healthcare sector as possible, because your scope 3 directly coming to that. Scope 3 emissions. So adoption of mobility, morning madam told that there is some incentives or something on that comes under phase 2 option from the central government point of view. Faster adoption of mobility in the electric vehicles. So that is also we can utilize things for that. And again, water consumption, water database. First of all, always I believe that without data you cannot improve anything. Because without data, nothing. Where we don't know where we are, what is KPI, what is the key performance indicators, what is my footprint. First of all, I would like to know, right, my under bedded hospital, per bed what is the energy consumption, per bed what is the KL consumption. That should be my driving forces. So then only I can assess the rest of the things. That way, water consumption, water audit, water tree, we will call it as a water tree. Like how water is distributed. And here you are drawing from the municipality and your borewells. How it is distributed, where it is going. So normally in any water audit, I saw around at least 10% wastage. There is no accountability for that. No one is accountable. I am drawing 50 KL. 2 liters people will take 50 KL we are drawing it. That's it. We are responsible for 50 KL. But rest of the 50 KL, somewhere it is going on. But for overall, you cannot balance 100%. So that is the reason measurement is the first fundamental step. We need to make sure the system can ensure the right data. Then once data is derived, at least we will identify what is the benchmarking parameters available, national and international standards, and where we are and what immediate steps we can take it up. So water conservation. So conservation means very simple, utilizing the water in a sensible manner. Sensible manner. If it is not my own property, I will behave like one way. If it is my own property, I will behave like different attitude. So this concept has to be eradicated. Otherwise, we cannot achieve sustainability by net zero by 2070. Even 3070 also impossible case. The mindset, the attitude, that is to be changed. So next, in the environmental aspects, in ESG, this is all for the framework for ESG I am talking. Each and every word is having the data-driven system, and again inbuilt KPIs, lot of things are there in that. So back-end data is like one kind of Bible, I can say. So that is the reason. So I just am briefing it. Waste management, if you see waste segregation. When it comes to segregation, the fundamental step is we need to identify what type of waste we are using, how to segregate, what are the standards available in the system, like the extended producer's responsibility. The central CPCB has given a guidance and made it a mandatory for each and every organization to make it extended producer's responsibility, and we need to submit that reports every quarterly to the CPCB online data. So like in the healthcare sector, waste and biomedical waste management is the biggest hurdle and challenge, no doubt at all, because it's all infectious material and it has to be treated in a proper incineration way. So this is the overall talk. I am talking about waste management. How the organizations can take care of the waste management is reduce, reuse, recycle. and repurpose it also. Recently, evaluation, repurpose it. So these are all the strategies. These are all the strategic framework. I am not talking in detail. So hazardous waste management. Apart from biomedical waste management, there is hazardous waste management, like syringes and blood, cotton and all with blood. So these are all hazardous waste material. So how these should be disposed in a proper way and with safe, proper and safe manner. So this is to be adopted. There are guidelines are available, no doubt. There are guidelines are available to handle it. There is I have one session on biomedical waste management, 1-day training program. We have that. So chemical waste management, again not only biomedical and hazardous waste material, chemical waste also like expired tablets, expired saline bottles. So these are all comes under chemical management. And of course hospitals are using on average around 250 to 270 chemicals in their facility. Now imagine that how it is hazardous to the environment if it is not handled and managed properly. Next, coming to the air quality. So we discussed air quality is the primary factor for the green building concept, which is related to the hospital safety and patient safety. More or less it is related to patient safety. So indoor air quality monitoring system, automated monitoring system also required, fresh air infusion also required if required. And again, fresh air ventilation system. This is our design principles. I am talking. Fresh air ventilation system to be designed when you are designing the building. If it is already designed for brownfield project, then we need to see the options. Technological options are available. So where we can put it. And again, temperature, humidity, monitoring system, and again, disaster management. In environmental report, these are all the fundamental requirements. When it comes to ESG reporting, first they will talk on national disaster management. What is the disaster management plan we have as a hospital? Like floods, fire, we'll come to know maybe next slide and all. Because last week we had one wonderful national conference on hospital sector exclusively. Health, electrical safety, fire safety. One-day, full-day program where we discussed about the National Building Code and BS standards, IS 14489 standards. So any NFPA standards we discussed on that. So these are the major verticals where we can target on environment. Next, coming to the social aspects. Social aspects, first and foremost thing is any hospital or any facility, safety is the first paramount, especially for hospital, healthcare sector, because we will go to the hospital for to come out of safety, right? Safely. So this is the very big word where we can see the importance of safety in the hospitals, because the ability of a person came to the hospital with a lot of stress, strain, and mental disturbance. A lot of things are there. So these will be doubled or tripled when there is any safety related issue in the hospital. As a hotel, that is a different again, right? It's a luxurious, that is a different. So but hospital, the paramount requirement, even green building or energy efficient, all are secondary. I prefer safety is the first for the hospitals. So first, to be safety, the fundamental requirements are if you fulfill legal statutory compliance requirements 100% for any hospital healthcare facility, you are almost fit into that. You are almost fit. But there are challenges. I know that there are a lot of challenges in healthcare system, but especially for small hospitals, maybe 2-floor, 3-floor kind of hospital, there are challenges like start from your NOC. Because earlier that is different, now the NOC standards are different. So these are all the challenges, but one by one we can work out. So safety audits and dashboards. In the hospital sector, we are doing around 15 to 18 exclusive audits for safety, for hospital sector, healthcare sector. Like chemical safety management, your construction safety management, your process safety management, your risk assessment, as hazardous risk assessment also part of safety audit, different verticals. And next, employee health and well-being. This is also to be captured. Not only patients' health and well-being. The employee is also part of the system. So employee welfare as well as health and well-being also to be counted in the reporting of ESG. And employee welfare. If you talk about employee welfare, same wages and compensations, employee assistance program, and again learning and development, skill development, and employee flexible working arrangements. So these are all covered in the aspects of social aspects of the ESG regulatory framework. So another one is community engagement. Morning, some of the speakers discussed about this vendor development. So fundamentally, to reduce your scope 3 emissions, again from the logistics and supply chain point of view, you have to develop your local vendor development programs. These are all for the top management I am talking about. So they should have that vision to develop the local product and local vendor development mechanism. Will survive two things. One is emission part, sustainability part is one aspect, and your product cost will also reduce. So thus, the revenue will be more with less investment. So this is also one kind of approach. But of course, there are standards. Suppose the standards are not maintained from the local vendor, then again issue. So this is the this is the biggest area where we can discuss in hours together. The scope 3 emissions comes under. And employee composition reflecting local employment. So for any industry, suppose the government is getting any investment from any industry, they will put a clause that at least 20% should be local employment. The reason behind that is to develop the local ecosystem. That is the first point. And anyway, the employee has to come from some XYZ location. Instead of that, why can't we develop our local community and local system? Of course, there are critical roles to be played in a different top management and all, that is different, but at least wherever the local employment and community can be developed through local mechanism. And again, corporate social responsibility, so no need to discuss more on that, but normally CSR funds are unutilized most of the times. Especially, I'm not talking about the healthcare sector, overall industry, if you see, it is not effectively utilized. These are all utilizing, but not effectively to some extent. So this has to be taken care in the CSR, your ESG reporting completely. And diversity and inclusion. Again, POSH, prevention of sexual harassment training programs, and gender diversity, and diverse workforce policy we need to keep in place. And not only kept in place, we need to implement, effective implementation is also important here. So these are all the standards we need to make it happen for the social aspects in the ESG reporting. And regional and ethnic diversity, that is also part of your ESG. So when it comes to governance part, governance, the purpose of this, board and directors. So board, how my board is mixed with that. So normally if you see board of directors means everyone will think about the finance or commercial background. It's not like that. Board it should be mixed in all areas. Operations, engineering, technology, R&D, IT. So everyone should be there. It's called mix of board. So ESG will focus on how your board is diversified. So this is the major aspect from board of directors point of view, and the ratio of gender ratio also. Board is now Ministry of Corporate Affairs made mandatory that 10% of your board should be with female. Women board should be there with minimum 10%. So these are all the standards we need to follow. But I saw in some boards now. So the biggest challenge is board of directors will be there. They will come for every quarterly once AGM, annual general meetings, general body meetings, and they will go. That's it. Involvement is also more important. For Namake Vasti, there is no use now. So that is the biggest challenge. So that means these all should come from where once the top management is working with mind and heart. In between, where it come into picture now, so all these things will change. So mind and heart, Because this 4 times yesterday, last week I am with ISB Dean Ramnekar, Ajit Ramnekar. We discussed some of the things on that. He mentioned that your wallet came into picture means entire your sustainability or everything will sleep. It will be there, but it will sleep. So mind and heart should work, especially for any industry, especially healthcare, because they are treating patients. Affordability. My paramount word is affordability to the healthcare. And again, competency. So I will discuss about how the competency of my board, how the diversity of my board, that also matters. Tone, knowledge, performance. Tone is more important. In the tone, if you see at least 20 to 30 pages will be there in the ESG report, only for tone. That means, what is the director's contribution? Director is there. He came from Ahmedabad. He will go for one day meeting or 2 days meeting and AGM after 4 sessions, 5 or 6 slides I covered. There are in just, I don't want to talk. But, so this is the aspects, attributes, what metrics you need, what kind of information you have to get, what kind of documentation is required under any
for being with us the entire day today. Thank you so much for your patience as well. We really appreciate seeing you, all of you here. We are certain that the conference session today has been of immense value to you. We were able to glean so many insights, as well as interact with your peers, network with your peers in the industry. Thank you all very much for being with us today. We will keep you posted about the next edition, that is the 13th edition of the HealthCare 360 Summit. But until then, thank you very much. Have a good day and see you all very soon. Signing off, this is Sunny from ET Business Consulting. Cheers. Goodbye.